Welcome in. Nice to have you aboard as we wind our way through the week. It's Thursday, another gorgeous day, May 14th. Darn it all, they say it may rain this weekend. The odds are it's going to rain just when the golf courses are starting to green up and look terrific. We may have to sit out this weekend. I certainly hope that is not the case. We've got a busy show for you today. You've got us, myself, my friend Brett Norsworthy, parked at home safely, very socially distanced in the avenues of the Americas in Forest City, Arkansas. We will talk, and I'm really looking forward to this. I've seen him from afar. I realized it when I looked up his picture today. Dr. John Ganuski, he said you can call me Dr. G if you want to. He is the director of the Bureau of Business and Economic Research and the Center of Manpower Studies. There's a Sparks deal in there. He's got more titles that if I give the whole title, we wouldn't get a question in. So we're not going to do that, but he's going to join us on the economy, and I got a lot of questions I want to ask of him. That'll be at 3:30. Inside Hoop City with Elliot Perry at 4. Interesting NBA story today, I thought. We're so worried about them losing 1% per game. You know, some could lose 17, 19% of their salaries, which is nothing to sneeze at. In fact, and I'll give the total stats a little bit later, but there's over 100 players that in this next reduced paycheck, they will lose $100,000. So I don't think anybody ever wants to lose $100,000. But we'll talk with Elliot Perry, a little bit of baseball with Tim Doolin, and then even more at 5 o'clock. Our friend, the voice of the Washington Nationals, wondering what he's going to be doing here on the 4th of July weekend. He will join us at 5, and then 5:50, it will be crunch time. Brett Norsworthy, how are you holding up across the river?
I'm well, Dave. Great. Great to hear your voice and see you and Drew. And we're plow on. Day 63 without sports. We've only had 71 days this year with sports. So that means a week from next Friday, we'll be knotted at 71.
Yeah, well, we've had sports now. We had a UFC. Ouch. We had a UFC fight. For some people, that's big sports. They had 700,000 people who paid for that, Brett Norsworthy. They paid $65. They think they saw real sports.
I got to have a ball involved in sports and a scoreboard, Dave.
So you're telling me Muhammad Ali is not – he doesn't count?
We had a scoreboard.
Well, we have a scoreboard in UFC. They give you a decision the same way, point totals and everything.
Not my sport.
Not your sport. Well, I stopped giving that
I
day.
Won't count it. I won't.
Just so you know.
I won't count it for 4 more weeks.
You don't, but I do. I count it because I think UFC is legit.
I need a ball and a scoreboard and something that I'm halfway entertained by. And I'm going to watch no more of the car racing this weekend than I did of the fighting. 4 weeks from today is the Schwab. 11 weeks from today will be the WGC FESJI. Let's hope like heck we're out there. Let's hope like heck it's going on.
Well, let's go back to the Schwab. You do know in this 37-page thing, that's the first time there is, now I'm worried. Brett Norsworthy, if those of you who are watching on Zoom, he just wiped his nose. Are you okay?
Well, allergies that time of year. Zyrtec's not working.
In this
I'm
day
glad
and
to let
age,
everybody know
buddy,
I blew my nose.
This day, well,
I know, no kidding.
They're watching on Zoom. Come on. I think they're watching on Zoom.
And Dave, think about what it'll be next winter when you get around somebody that has a coughing, sneezing, fit. I mean, they'll be a pariah.
You know,
and seriously, in your life, when was the last time you shook hands with somebody?
You've already asked me that. I don't know. So, sometime in March, that'll be the.
So you haven't.
I'm going to say. I'm going to say I high-fived. I shook hands. I think. You know what? I think I was already doing elbows. I think we were already doing elbows. The night Gobert got it because we were all in. We had a little get-together of the American Athletic Conference announcers. We were at a restaurant, and I can't remember if we high-fived.
Y'all were out in some place in Texas, two-stepping is what y'all were doing.
Well,
You were line dancing, weren't you?
We're a little too old for that.
I'd love to see you in cowboy boots.
I'm trying to think of the youngest guy. The youngest guy is the Houston announcer. He didn't come to this thing. But
see, Dave, here's my theory, and I don't have cowboy boots either. I don't think short people look good in cowboy boots. I think they're for big, strapping,
tall
big guys. Yeah.
All right. So back to what we were saying before you blew your nose and freaked me out. If you look at
Rolling
that
Stones
30,
lyrics there, blew my nose and then she blew my mind.
Right.
Honky tonk women.
Yeah. Right up the alley.
Mick Jagger meeting a gin-soaked barroom queen in Memphis.
Yeah. The 37-page manual for the Schwab, there's not everybody who's going to be allowed press members to cover.
Oh, no.
So no. I don't know that if in August.
Probably not. It'll be very limited.
Although they're supposed to have galleries. We'll see if that happens.
We'll see. But I think everything's going to be very limited. I think if and when, NBA's talking about not having fans for 2021, the media certainly would be very limited. College basketball, college football, whenever it starts, it's going to be a very muted press box. And I think, sadly, a lot of sports information offices and a lot of media relation offices will use it as their golden opportunity to tell a lot of people no. They've been waiting to tell a lot of people no for a long time.
Well,
got a ready-made excuse now.
If I were,
I was afraid you were going to say in that 37 pages you weren't going to be allowed to blow your nose at the Schwab.
Yeah, no. That might
I bet you can. I bet somewhere in there is that.
I'll tell you, seriously, I've thought about this. When you see somebody coughing or sneezing on an airplane, ooh, that's going to scare the heck out of you. Although my wife
getting on an airplane,
my wife was saying she was watching some network news, and they had an airline person on, and they say they pump in fresh air somehow. Like every 2 minutes. You're not always breathing in the same circulated air, which I find hard to believe.
I do too, because it can get a little clammy in there on a good day. But two handshakes from me since the 13th of March. Friday night, March 13th, longtime friend of mine, saw him just instinctively. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, nice new couple to the neighborhood. I see them, and instinctively to him, throw the hand out, we shake hands.
Ooh.
I throw the hand out to her, and she rebuffed me.
Well, she was smart. It's social distancing.
She was smart.
You don't
have you rebuffed anyone? I did last Saturday, and I felt bad doing it to a great guy. He throws his hand out, and I go, I'm sorry, I can't.
Yeah, I know. I don't think I've rebuffed anybody because we're all practicing social distance, all the people that I have been meeting with or dealing with, or playing golf with, for that matter. We won't even do the elbow anymore. We'll do like the miss you salute. What is it? It's like a high five where you miss. We'll do that. That's about it. We're careful.
That's a lot of trouble.
We're careful. Well, I think that's the way it's going to be. Salutes will be big.
This Sunday in the Matthew Wolff, Ricky Fowler versus Rory McIlroy DJ Johnson match.
Yeah.
There's the possibility of they're having noodles at Seminole.
No. Seriously?
Possibly.
So I called up Doug Barron today and set him up. He's going to be with us on Monday? 4:30. And we were talking a little bit about it, and he, like you, said Seminole.
It's going to win the weekend.
Is just gorgeous. And he told me this because I did not realize it. Back in, I guess, the 40s and 50s.
Ben Hogan.
That's where Ben Hogan would go every winter to practice and stay in shape.
Uh-huh.
It's right on the water.
And really get ready for the Masters because he liked the wind blowing. He liked the greens really kind of baked out and really fast, and that's where he would go prepare for the Masters every year.
And it
worked well for him.
Just like you. He raved
it's unreal.
About that golf course. And so I said, you know what, we're going to talk about your favorite golf courses. If you had one run, I know what it would be for me, even though I haven't seen Pine Valley, even though I haven't seen a Lotion, it's Augusta National. I mean, even though I have seen it, that's if I had 18 holes, my last 18 holes, and they let me play anywhere I wanted, That's where I'd go. Augusta National. We'll find out where Doug would
We're
go.
going to do High Hardman's tomorrow, but I'll ask it right now. Last 18 holes in Shelby County, where do you play?
Ooh. Last 18 holes in Shelby
We'll ask Doug
County.
that Monday.
I would have
any course or just public?
Anything.
Go ahead, Drew.
Off the top of my head, I'd have to say TPC Southwind, but I've played that one before, so it'd have to be probably one of the private members-only clubs that I've never even had a chance to step foot on the property at.
I would probably say, and no disrespect to TPC Southwind, lovely golf course, but it would be fifth on my list. I would have to say I think the coolest golf course is the one I play a lot, and that's Colonial South. That is the historic one. Al Geiberger's 59. It's just amazing that guy could shoot 59 on that golf course.
With those clubs and that ball.
Yeah, and that length. That was the longest course on tour at the time. It was like 7,300 yards back then, and you were using a lot of balls and not hickory shafts, but not much better. I would have to put Memphis Country Club in there. I would have to put, as I'm considering these things, I would have to put Spring Creek, because that is just an unbelievably beautiful golf course. Those three, I love Ridgeway. I have to throw. That's a fourth that I would consider. Then probably Southwind.
I'll change my answer to Spring Creek, just due to the fact that I grew up about 15 minutes down the road from there and still haven't played there. So I'll go Spring Creek.
Brett, what would you play if you still played?
Memphis Country Club.
Memphis Country Club, yeah. Memphis Country Club, and I'll tell you, any golf course that was designed by
Donald Ross.
Donald Ross, thank you. I was having a moment there. It was Ross. I couldn't remember Donald. I knew the Ross.
That's what I'm here for, baby.
Any Donald Ross course that I ever get a chance to play, I can't wait to play it.
Speaking of golf, I was holding out yesterday for that one remaining PGA unannounced site. Well, they announced it today, 2025, and it's not going to be at Belle Reve. It's going to be Quail Hollow. So Belle Reve knows it's going to go from 2018 at least until 2031 through 2031. It will be until 2032 before there's another opening. 32 and 33 open, 34 taken. That's a long time for the great Midwest to really go without it. And the change of dates, Dave, I think's hurt a lot of places like in St. Louis. It'd be hard to have Belle Reve really ready in May. It'd be hard. Valhalla in Louisville, I think, could be a challenge in a few years. Kiowa next year, that could be peak time for it to play it there in May.
Yeah, I think Louisville will be all right. I really do. I think it's far enough south. If you were
longitude, it's right there with St. Louis.
Well, yeah. I don't know why.
Longitude, latitude, Dave.
I always think of that
you
being
need to
a little
get the
further
changes in latitude.
South. Changes in attitudes, buddy.
Yeah, that's what we need. I know one thing that doesn't change every day at this time. We talk about the good folks at Lexus of Memphis. They bring you this hour every day, and we appreciate it. They're at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Call them at 901-362-8833. Lexus of Memphis offering the golden opportunity May sales event. Get out in this great weather and enjoy all those beautiful cars at Lexus of Memphis. Great offers on all those cars, on all the 2020 models, and always special lease options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Stop by today at Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of an all-new 2020 flagship LS500, and you'll be looking and driving great. Lexus of Memphis, the high standards in the industry. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and that makes for the luxury driving experience. 901-362-8833. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, there's some positivity, I think, today for sure. When we give you the pandemic news, no spike in new COVID-19 cases. That, ladies and gentlemen, continues to be a nice trend. 61 new cases. So we're getting the stabilization that everyone was looking for to possibly move to phase 2. However, there were 5 new deaths. We now have 3,523 cases. 78 have passed away. 2,115 have recovered. We have now administered 46,444 tests. And the positivity keeps coming down. It's been lately about 4.3%. So we're talking about 7.5% overall from all the testing. Considering we were up at 10% for a while or thereabouts, that is all really, really good news. So May 18th, 4 days from now, that is the date when the current Shelby County Health Department Phase 1 expires. That doesn't mean they'll move to Phase 2. They could extend it. That is when it expires. There was news that for those of you who would feel much more comfortable in any of these phases to wear masks, they will start distributing free masks at libraries and fire stations. And they're free.
Smart.
And that's going to happen soon. They're going to have a ribbon cutting for 495 Union, the old Commercial Appeal building. That'll be next week. Hopefully we don't have to use that building. With the models that we saw yesterday from Nashville, from the state, after the original models, you know, we may never use that auxiliary hospital on Union Avenue. I hope that is absolutely the case. Just so you know, grand juries reconvene next week, so we truly are opening up. And Blue Cross Blue Shield will provide permanent coverage of virtual visits with in-network providers. In other words, they're the first ones to say we will pay in the state of Tennessee for telehealth. And that may be something that, because of this pandemic, this next generation will use more and more of. Tennessee,
sure could, Dave.
Yeah.
We could get smarter and more efficient instead of, the time and trouble for people to have to go to the doctor's office for something that may not be that serious. That telehealth will really be intriguing to them.
Tennessee now, 16,370 cases, 273 fatalities. Mississippi, 10,483, but over 200 more fatalities in the entire state of Tennessee. They have 480. Arkansas is over 4,000 now, 4,236 cases. They have kept it under the century mark, 97 who have passed away. In the world, we're close to 4.5 million, 4,491,301 fatalities, but 1,230,000, who've recovered. In the United States, 1,441,000 cases, 86,000 have passed, 311,000 have recovered. Those are your pandemic numbers for the day.
And on the Commercial Appeal building, let's hope we never have to use it, but let's always keep it there for almost any reason as a plan B. Let's keep it there in case we had a horrible tornado hit, or if we had that even milder but some injuries earthquake. If we had the windstorm, Hurricane Elvis from summer of 2003, and people were injured and we needed extra beds, or if we have another pandemic again in our life, let's hope we never have to.
I believe you're right about one thing. Keep it at least until we have vaccines and treatments.
Exactly, Dave. Keep it there as a alternative. My top story. Every day we see more and more cuts from schools across the country, reductions of schedules, eliminations of sports and college sports. And I was scared all those years, and I voiced it. I voiced that too many people were making that quick ascendancy to FBS level football, and too many were making the leap from either Division II or NAIA to D1 basketball. And I was scared to death that something would happen. I didn't see this coming, but I was scared something would happen, and they wouldn't be able to do it because I was scared, and I knew a lot of places were trying to be something that they really weren't. And now you're seeing mass cuts at a lot of places, and it's only just begun.
Not top story of the day.
There are several, but since you just brought that up, I'm going to switch in mainstream, and I'm going to go Akron. In the MAC, we've already heard about all the troubles from from the MAC. But Akron today dropped men's cross country, men's golf. My gosh, golf? Are you serious? And women's tennis. So Akron is paring down.
And you're seeing schedules.
Yeah.
Me too. You're seeing schedules reduced. My not top story, if I can say it, is Blake Snell. Yeah, a lot of people are saying, who the heck is Blake Snell? Well, he did win a Cy Young a few years ago. It's not Sandy Koufax. It's not Bob Gibson. It's not Tom Glavine. No, it's Blake Snell. He says he's not playing this year. And I was kind of with him. Because I think the owners do have the players just completely over a barrel. And then he said, and you can't make this up, of course, he announced it on his Twitch account and during a Twitch rant. And, of course, during it he said bro a lot and ended every sentence with right a lot. But then he goes, and I'm going to have to pay taxes on that money. Well, yeah, Blake, we all do. Everybody out here hurting's got to pay some taxes. That doesn't separate you from anybody.
Well, he was originally going to be my not top story. And the interesting thing to
me,
really? Yes. I went with Akron because you brought up your thing. Yeah. But Blake Snell said, I'm not risking my life, okay, for half money. So I'm not sure when he was making all these comments if he's referring to being insulted that he's risking his life because we should wait out a whole year until we have treatments? Or is he going, I'm not going to play for that kind of money? I mean, if I'm going to go out there, you better pay me in full. If you're taking a stand because you don't think it's the time to open up and play a game when your life is at risk, I get that. I commend you for taking that strong stand. But if you're going to throw the price tag out there, but I'll play if you pay me full, then you got to wonder, is he really serious about making his point, or is it just about the money?
You know what it is.
It's about the money.
About the money.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always about the money. It is with all of us.
And those are your top and your not top stories today. The much sought after transfer, who will make his announcement yesterday, is DeAndre Williams, who is 6'9", a young man that is from Evansville, who has chosen between, or is going to choose tomorrow, between Memphis, Kentucky, Baylor, and Arkansas.
He had good luck against Kentucky last year.
He did. He helped to beat that Kentucky team, and then, of course, his coach got tossed in a bit of a scandal, and now he wants to leave. And he may, because he was playing for that coach, so this is his first chance, he may get immediate eligibility, but you never know with the NCAA. But my hunch is, after calling around a little bit, I got the feeling DeAndre Williams is going to be a Tiger. Well, whether or not he'll be immediately eligible, much like Nolly, I don't know. But I think he's coming. I think Memphis is going to win that battle tomorrow. We'll find out maybe while we're on the air. Bring it in the weekend tomorrow afternoon. Those, again, are your top and your not top stories. We are sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, making sure that you get the message that home is really a cool place if you make it a vacation stop. And the way you do that is you go to Family Leisure. And they're making it so easy for you right now with complete pool packages starting at $1,599. Under $1,600, you got an above-ground pool. And many more people are going to stay home all summer. It's going to be hot. How about relief? How about a vacation in your backyard? 24-foot pools, under $2,000. 4-person spas, same price, $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. High-quality swing sets. The discount on them is $21.99 all the way at one time up from $34.99. That is a swing, so to speak. We are offering, or they are, contractless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. All you got to do is schedule an appointment. Then you drop on by, and they'll bring it out curbside to you. It is so simple and so easy and so safe. Just make that call. Family Leisure. Still, actually, they had a great spring. Still making it happen at I-40 and Whedon Road. We take the break, and when we come back, we already talked about him. He's an interesting guy. Dr. John Gnoski from the University of Memphis Economics Department on the economy and the pandemic and what we can expect. He's next on Sports Time on Sports 56.
Search Sports 56 on Facebook and give us a like. And follow us on Twitter at Sports 56 WHBQ.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. And Geico would just like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Now it's Geico's turn to share too with a Geico Give Back. A 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility.
Every home has have-to-dos and probably some want-to-dos. The Home Depot can help you do both with the things you need to make things work a little better or take care of something you've been meaning to do. Maybe do something to start summer. We have the low prices to make it all doable. Order online and get free delivery on orders over $45. Whatever you need to do or want to do, we can help you get it done. The Home Depot. How doers get more done. Some delivery exclusions apply.
State Farm knows we're all living a new normal. Many of us are staying at home. Living rooms are now offices and schools. Our world is suddenly different. But one thing remains the same. State Farm is there. To any of our customers currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent or go to statefarm.com because we're here to help make this new normal feel just a little more normal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
This is a last chance alert. It's happening. Publishers Clearinghouse is ready to award $5,000 a week for life in just days. Enter now at PCH.com and you could win $5,000 a week after week, for life. Don't miss this last chance to win $5,000 a week for life on June 30th. Enter at PCH.com before it's too late. That's PCH.com. Better hurry if you want the next big winner to be you. Enter now at PCH.com. Entries due 6/25. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited.
Listen Sundays at 11 a.m. to join Idlewild Presbyterian Church for worship. Idlewild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
We like to party.
Welcome back in. Wolo and Stats with you. We are awaiting the professor of economy at the University of Memphis, Dr. John Gnoski, and I look forward to hearing some of his thoughts. I know he actually called a couple of days ago, so he might have had days confused. I hope we will be able to get with him today. We will talk a bunch of baseball a little bit later with Tim Doolin and with Bob Carpenter. And didn't get much talk other than the Blake Snell stuff today from Major League Baseball, except that we learned a lot about the way they're going to test. And, you know, they're talking about multiple tests per week. And if there is a positive result, so they have touched on this just like we said it would be critical that in any plan you better do this. What happens if there's a positive result? And they said they would not suspend play. I think they're not even talking about quarantining except the one individual they would absolutely put, I think, into solitary for 10 days. Something of that nature, I believe, was in there. And they said they have access to tens of thousands of tests and made the point of saying we have access to those tests without taking any away from any of the frontline workers.
It's very real that the deal could be could be turned down. It could be voted against by the players. It doesn't feel like there's a real appetite to play baseball, and I want it back because look, I love it. But, Dave, I think a lot in sports it has to matter. How much will that season really matter? Fanless. Think about it think about it in Wrigleyville. The Cubs are inside that great cathedral of sport, of baseball, and they're playing a game. How many people you think is going to be on the outside filling the bars and just clamoring to want to be inside? I think you could see at some of the popular places, Fenwayville, outside Busch Stadium, at Ballpark Village, Wrigleyville, in many others, the new ballpark in Atlanta, I think you could see people maybe try to storm the light brigade, and by golly, I want to see it.
I don't know. I would tell you, I don't know how they'll block off streets or what they'll do. What their total plan would be to make sure that everything is pretty secluded. I'm certain security will be great.
There is no way come football season, whenever they play, whenever this game is played at Tiger Stadium, Alabama and LSU playing, you're not going to be able to keep them out. And there's more of them than there's security.
Well, if they felt that were the case, they'd have to play it somewhere else. If they really didn't think they could control the crowd, they would play it somewhere else. If the rule is there's nobody in the stadium, how about this? How about we say there's 20%? How do you keep the tailgaters out? What do you do there?
And when we go to a potential NFL partial crowd, and you had David Tepper, the owner of the Carolina Panthers, today say that he thinks there will be plenty, if not full, some. Are you going to go like odd, even gas rationing? I mean, home game number 1, odd sections, odd seats allowed. Well, and then the next week, the next home game, do the evens, and that guy with that season ticket go, well, what about my ticket?
I have no idea how they will ration out what they're going to do. Seriously, and that in my mind, to make up revenue, they're I would think they're going to go to their top donors. If it's to 20%, because that's probably the best way you could space, and with these older stadiums, get people in a spacing way, in a socially distant way. I think you're going to be down to 20 to 25% of your arena or your stadium. And
are we talking college or pro?
I'm talking college.
Okay, so it's just going to be to the super elite donors.
I think,
well, that's already the caste system we're fighting a little bit in college football, where you walk by the skybox area and it's like a medieval feast in there with the food and the whiskey, but don't you dare sneak anything in.
Yeah. I've always chuckled about that myself.
You peons,
you can't bring
not
in,
for you.
You can't bring in liquor, but my goodness, those skyboxes are definitely stocked.
Swimming in it.
Yeah. That has always been quite the contradiction. I'm in agreement with you there. I think that we're getting Dr. Ganuski right now, and Brett, I'm going to throw this out. I think we should take a quick timeout here.
Good idea.
And then come back with the doctor so that we can get in all our time. I'll let you know this portion of the show brought to you by Dinstall's. How sweet it is at Dinstall's. They made Mother's Day incredibly sweet. We had Becky on last week, and Becky Dinstall was telling us about the strawberries now and where they're coming from, because only the freshest of the fruits that they put with their candy, when they enrobe them with their chocolate or their fondants, it is always the freshest at that particular moment. It is just outstanding. And, of course, I'm a big Cashew Crunch guy or a Turtlet guy. And they have not reopened, to the best of my knowledge, downtown yet, and they probably won't. I can't wait to ask Dr. Ganuski a little bit about downtowns and what the future of downtowns might be like if everybody stays at home, which is the way we've been operating now. But they are still open at the original. That's on Pleasant View in my neighborhood in Laurelwood. They are open in Collierville. They are open in Germantown. And the best way to make this weekend sweet is to go get the signature candy of all of Memphis. And you know when I say the best chocolate or the best cashews or the best anything, you know you're going to say Dinstall's. Back with Dr. Ganuski, Dr. G, as he calls himself, the economics guru from Memphis. He's next.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up and get back to playing the game we all love. Edwin Watts Golf Shop is now fully reopened to serve all your golfing needs. Our team has taken precautions to ensure your shopping safety when you visit our stores. Come in today and get the best deals on clubs, bags, balls, apparel, and more. And at Edwin Watts, we offer free custom club fitting, club repair, and trade-ins. Now, let's get out there and play some golf. Edwin Watts Golf Shop, home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee.
You'll see the dedication in every single step. You'll see it in the smiles, when smiles are hard to get. You'll see it in the little things that add up to success. The caring and passion are the things that we love best.
Wolf Chase Limb Brace is your Mid-South provider for orthotics and prosthetics. They are an ABC-accredited facility, and their practitioners are ABC certified. At Wolf Chase Limb Brace, their services include artificial limbs, legs and arms, braces of all kinds, and custom molded inserts. You can call them today at 901-507-7821 for their location on Highway 64 in between Germantown Parkway and Appling Road, or visit them at their new location in Jackson, Tennessee. That number is 731-660-5900, or visit them on the web at wolfchaselemonbrace.com.
Wolf Chase Limb and Brace.
I'm Dr. George Flynn with an update on the skin clinics and COVID-19. We continue to be open for elective medical procedures such as Botox, Scarlet, and Agnes. And we thank you for abiding by our new safety protocols and for your patience with longer than average times for appointments. We're still having reduced appointment times for the safety of our clients and staff. At this time, after consulting with outside medical experts also and following the community guidelines, we believe it best to wait to offer aesthetic services such as brow shaping, waxing, and facials. We look forward to offering these services as soon as possible. The Skin Clinics is currently accepting names for a waiting list that we will use to fill appointment times when we can begin offering these services and these procedures. Call us at 345-7546. That's 345-SKIN to book your medical procedure or to get on the waiting list for aesthetic treatments. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Lexus of Memphis. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
What I'm saying is, this is the anthem. Throw all your hands up. Y'all got to feel me singing.
Welcome back in on this glorious Thursday. You know, in this time slot, we like to talk about the pandemic and what is going on and what our hopes are, what our fears might be. And I read a great quote from Dr. John Ganuski, who is the director of the Bureau of Business and Economic Research and the Center of Manpower Studies at the University of Memphis. There's a lot more I could give with titles, but we want to get these questions into our economist. And Dr. Ganuski, thank you for joining us. I read this quote where you said that we would have terrible unemployment in April, it would double in May, and then we would return to normalcy. Is your prediction coming true? And why will we return to normalcy after this month is up? How are you?
Doing great, Dave. How about you this morning?
Hanging in.
This afternoon.
Yeah. So
let me tell you, okay?
Yeah.
The original outlook was that we were going to have the coronavirus was going to initially go up and then come down. Okay, and to the extent that now that begins to stretch out, I think the recovery stretches out into the future. We're now looking at fall and beyond, and Lord only knows the economy's recovery is directly related to how quickly that coronavirus gets out of here.
And so your sense is when you say we will come down in June relates to the fact that you think we will stabilize even more on the medical side of it.
We're going to stabilize more, and as quickly as we can stabilize, as quickly as we can go into a restaurant and not look like we're going into a hospital emergency ward, then we're going to begin to see the economy bounce back. And that's when the recovery will really begin to show. Just opening the stores doesn't mean anything to us. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Getting customers in the stores, that means a lot.
Yeah, it means a lot, Dr. Ganuski. And I talked the other day, there's so many sectors of the economy that I fear, and one particularly, big town, small town alike, the commercial real estate market, because if nothing else, we've learned with this distancing, this working from home, that maybe we don't need, three floors in said downtown tower. Maybe we just need one. Maybe we don't need the business in this strip mall. Do you fear of a bubble or a economic tsunami in the commercial real estate area?
Well, prior to the coronavirus, Dave, the commercial real estate business was going great guns. Okay, money was available for almost any project that the community could even imagine. Okay, obviously the coronavirus has had a tremendous setback, has caused a tremendous setback to the economy, and so what we're facing is a period of a lot of uncertainty. It's all going to depend on a couple things. How quickly we bounce back. If we bounce back quickly, people are not going to be accustomed to working from home, and they're not going to want to work from home. So they're going to be back in their offices, and that's going to generate opportunities for commercial real estate. We don't know how quickly the major stores are going to open and how well they're going to do. So that's going to be an impact on commercial real estate. And finally, we're not sure how the incentive system is going to work. If we provide enough incentives for the industry, then it's going to be just fine. But if we don't, you could be right. There could be some tremendous turmoil in real estate.
When you say those incentives, that intrigues me. Well, what are you referring to here? Because here, my thing is, like downtown Memphis, let's say a business like Becky Dinstall's, she had to close the new store downtown because there's not workers and there's not tourists at the moment. If we start Zooming all the time, and we just saw Blue Cross Blue Shield says, hey, we're going to start doing telehealth a lot more. I mean, could you see where downtowns across the United States of America, or for the world for that matter, really start to become ghost towns? What are these incentives?
Well, downtowns have had a long history of decline. Okay, that's not unusual. Because of the post-Great Recession period of expansion, they had started to bounce back and probably would have been doing just fine if it had not been for the virus. The incentives are going to be necessary to support the industry, and we're seeing some of them. The employment incentive loan programs that are available for employers are going to try to keep them open. Okay, to the extent that they can keep them open, then in fact the real estate market will not suffer a Great Depression. But all of that's going to depend upon whether we have sufficient incentives to keep the economy rolling and to keep the businesses functioning.
And Dr. Ganuski, the real estate market, one of the scariest aspects of things, but there are a lot of others. We know about the waiters and servers in the hospitality industry. What do you think about a suspension right now of the payroll tax and maybe even the suspension or the lowering in a capital gains tax, because so often when people hear capital gains tax, they think stock market and a big exotic portfolio. No, it's selling your home that you being hit by it. Are you for tax sensitive? Do you think they would help? Tax breaks, tax eliminations, tax incentives?
Any kind of tax incentive that we can provide, I think, is going to be positive, okay? And it's going to be necessary. And that's going to be an important factor in how we move forward. So the answer is yes. If we can provide a balanced portfolio of tax incentives for small businesses, then in fact we're going to see a lot more, and not all of them, but a lot more of our small businesses survive.
Will we need a third round of surplus money, more PPP money, more self-employment money, more bonuses to those that are unemployed on top of the unemployment? Because I know Congress is talking about that again. Can there be a third round of that, and can our government sustain that? Can we keep just printing money?
Well, government has the total ability to continue to print money. So the answer to that part is there's almost an unlimited amount of money that they can print. Do we need a third round? Absolutely. We need a third round that protects state and local government. Okay? Mm-hmm. We can't have them going broke, okay, while we try to save everybody else. So the answer is yes, we need a third round of incentives. And it needs to be diverse. It needs to be helping employers, small businesses, and state and local government.
Yeah, I saw a story the other day on top of just to follow up on that, is that I believe the state of Tennessee will be out of unemployment money at this particular time in 16 weeks. I think it was 22 weeks in Arkansas and maybe 24 weeks in Mississippi. So you're right on the money there, Doc. The federal government is going to have to help out the states.
Well, it really is. And of course, they've gone through two rounds that have helped, okay? They've helped keep us out of the Great Depression that I was most fearful for in the beginning. The first two rounds helped, and the third round is going to help even more. And there may be a need for subsequent rounds that continue to help as we move through this process. Well, what I do know is what seemed like something that was going to take place over a matter of a few months is now stretching into many months, okay? And the damage that it causes to the economy is yet unknown, but we know it's going to take a long time to recover. The recovery period is essential. What it looked like it was going to be a few months now is stretching into 6 months and beyond, and it's going to be slow. We thought originally people would bounce back and start spending again. In fact, they're holding back. They're saving money. They're not investing. They're not investing in new things. And as a result of all of that, the bounce back is going to take quite a bit of time.
Did you think there was anything that could overload the system like has occurred?
Absolutely not. Okay, and I don't think anyone would have ever anticipated this country or any other country just shutting down its economy. That's unheard of, totally unanticipated. And that's why it's so difficult to say with some degree of assurance what exactly is going to happen. This is a new event. It's never happened before. We don't know how long it's going to take the economy to bounce back.
You did say, though, that you were fearful initially that we would be in a deep recession, and you sort of said, well, you don't think that's going to happen now?
No, you got me wrong, Dave. Initially, I thought it was going to be a Great Depression. Okay?
Yes.
Now I think it's going to be a recession that takes a long time to get over it. Okay? Most recessions are solved in a quarter or two. well, it takes 2 quarters to actually make a recession, 2 down quarters. We're going to have to worry about 3, 4, and more. Okay.
Ooh.
So the recession is going to last quite a while, and it's going to be difficult to overcome. But it's not going to be the Great Depression. Okay, where we have prolonged food lines and displacement that just takes many years to overcome.
Have we learned some things from this? For instance, let's say the food chains, food costs have gone up. They say they'll be up for a while and then return to normalcy, maybe quicker than what you're saying.
Yeah.
Our economy as a whole will.
That's right. Well, I'll give you an example, okay? We know how to solve a shortage, okay? Well, when you had a shortage of toilet paper, one of 2 things happened. They had to limit consumption, okay, which they did, okay? And in addition, they increased prices. Well, meat prices are the most recent example of that. They reduced consumption and they increased prices, and that's how you solve a shortage, okay? So we're going to see those price increases as long as we have shortages. As soon as we get past the shortage problem, and the food industry is one that's really incredibly productive, the supply chain can bounce back quickly, and that's why they're anticipating reductions in prices pretty soon.
Dr. Gnuski, on the help with the states, I'm with you. I want to help on anything virus related. Now, are you talking about a bailout for states that largely overpromised in maybe state employment retirement benefits?
That's a totally different issue, okay? Totally different issue. I think we can see the difference between overspending and the impact of coronavirus. To the extent that it shut down revenues, the coronavirus, you can look at state revenues that were down $700 million in April. We got to find a solution for that. They can't continue. Yeah. Okay? And that's strictly related to the coronavirus. Has nothing to do with retirements or anything else. Okay?
What about you're talking about hard-hit industries. What about the travel industry, air in particular? And I bring that up because in Memphis, we are so reliant on the hospitality industry, and that is where the majority of the unemployment is coming from right now.
You hit it right on the head, okay? Those are 2 industries that are going to be hard hit, and it's going to take quite a while for them to all bounce back, okay? The transportation industry, Lord only knows when anybody's going to feel comfortable in getting on a plane, okay? And why I say that is because we still don't know how contagious this virus is, and we don't know how susceptible we are to getting it if we get on an airplane with someone that has it, okay? Until they complete those studies, we're not going to feel comfortable with doing that. Now, going to a restaurant or a bar and having a drink or getting a sandwich, that's a little bit different. People can do some social distancing. They can do some opening with, limiting the number of people who actually go into a restaurant or a bar. That can happen, okay? And that's something that can be done. The airline industry and transportation in general is probably a bigger issue.
And I've got the feeling that's going to be the 3 or 4 quarters or longer that you're talking about. We could talk all day, Dr. G. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. That is Dr. John Gnuski from the University of Memphis. Brett, that wasn't as positive as I'd hoped.
Well, no, but I think it's look, sometimes, Dave, we got to eat our asparagus.
Yeah.
And I there's not an utterance I disagreed with him on. I've talked about the medical phase, the economic phase, and the emotional psychology phase that we're going to go through, and we're going to have to wade through them all. And we're still at the beginning rather than the middle or the end of the medical phase, and it's only just begun in the economic phase.
Well, and honestly, until the medical gives us assurances, the economics can't. It's just
because the
just said
fear,
it.
like
Yeah,
you said,
exactly.
Yeah, the fear.
Who's getting on an
I mean,
airplane?
if you're scared to shake hands and high five and putt into a real golf cup, you know you're pretty scared of getting on an airplane and sitting by somebody you don't know hacking and wheezing.
No question. We take a timeout back into sports. Our friend inside Hoop City, that is Elliot Perry, and he is next.
And now a game of commercial chicken brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
So, have you noticed how everyone's grammar is completely awful now? Like, the texting and the LOLs. Whatever happened to punctuation? I mean, drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Farmers Insurance knows that when you're in the car and that song comes on, yes, that's the one, you have no choice but to pull out your imaginary drumsticks and smash those cymbals and stomp on that kick pedal, which unfortunately is the accelerator pedal. And we covered it. Talk to a farmer's agent who knows a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two.
Call Chad Gatlin at 901-235-1176 or get a fast quote at memphisfarmers.com.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Underwritten by Farmers Truck Fire Insurance Exchanges and Affiliates. Products not available in every state.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. As well as online around the world at sports56WHBQ.com. Take us with you everywhere on your phone or tablet by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, tell Google or Alexa to play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned to real sports talk. Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time to go inside Hoop City with Grizzlies radio analyst Elliot Perry. Inside Hoop City is sponsored by Campbell Clinic. Each Thursday, the former Tiger great and 10-year NBA player joins Sportstime with Wolo and Stats to talk Tigers and Grizzlies and all things Hoop City. Now, here's Elliot Perry with Wolo and Stats.
Hey, Elliot Perry about to join us. I forgot to mention when I told you earlier about Dinstall's, they're featuring a very special price today, tomorrow, Saturday on Heavenly Crunch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the pretzels, dried cranberries, golden grams, and nuts all tossed in that wonderful light vanilla coating. I don't know how they get it so light, but it really is good. It's great for munching, a nice gift for someone who needs a sweet treat for the weekend. If chocolate's your favorite, they still have all the caramels, nuts, turtlettes. Ooh, I love those. Creams, fudge, and so much more. And, of course, I never go throughout Dinstall's commercial without Cashew Crunch because some people think it's the strawberries. Some people think it's their chocolate. To me, Cashew Crunch, that is the signature when it comes to Dinstall's.
I thought it was funny today, the story about the Green Bay Packers out there sitting on 385 large.
I know.
They got a rainy day fund in Green Bay. I would love to see everybody's rainy day fund. Georgia's AD, Greg McGarity, is and should be very proud of his $110 million rainy day fund, and the Packers with 385 just sitting in a savings account.
You know why?
First National Bank of Green Bay.
Because it's publicly owned. They have to. They have to let you know. You think the McCaskies are going to let you know how much they have in their rainy day fund? Or the Maras? Or the Rooneys? No. They're not going to let you know. But you did make a good point. We'll talk about this later. We just rattled off all the NFL owners.
Easy.
But
easy.
We don't know the baseball ownership group, do we?
And Dave, we used to.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, we sure will. In the meantime, Elliot Perry. So I was just talking about Dinstall's signature. Elliot, what do you think when people think of you, what is your signature? Was it the goggles? Was it the socks? Is it your African art? Was
it a shot?
What is this? Oh, yeah, he's the most clutch. What is the signature that we should remember Elliot Perry by? We're getting very philosophical in the middle of this pandemic. How are you?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great, Elliot.
I mean, I think it depends on where you are. I mean, it depends on, I hate to sound broad about it or try to skirt the question, but I mean, if you're thinking about University of Memphis or Memphis State, I mean, it's going to be the goggles. If you're thinking about NBA, mostly, it's going to be the socks. In the arts community, a lot of people don't know me as much about basketball, but they know me about, collecting. And then some parts of it, you think about just community-wide, just the advocacy for education, the passion I have for my own community and giving my time and resources, and then mentoring. So all of those things, I think make up who I am. And I've always said that if I'm just remembered as a basketball player, I've done a terrible job of, living.
That's
well,
fair.
You're known for a lot, and Elliot, you're known for a lot. Post basketball, just in your association with the Grizzlies, your ownership stake, your affiliation with the broadcast, and 1 year ago tonight, you had the magic card that got us Ja Morant.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was just in the right place at the right time. I try not to take any credit for that. Just a placeholder. But I, just super excited about, again, what could have been a really uneventful night. I had in my head, I had just chalked it up to an uneventful night, and to see those cards roll off, your name is not there yet, and to see you're in the top four, and then you go the next two and know that you're in the top two, and now you have an opportunity to get the number one pick, and even if you don't, you have the number two pick, so there are two players at the top of this draft who were game changers. And I said in the interview that, anytime you get a top draft pick, you want to make sure that there are players in that draft that are game changers. And fortunate enough, we got one.
I will say this. We knew Zion was going to be a superstar.
Right.
Nobody, I think a lot of people suspected that Ja was going to be a really good player, that it was, and he was clearly going to be the second pick. I don't know that anybody really knew that he would be as great as he has become. So were you, tell us now, because it really doesn't matter, were you a little bummed when you didn't get that pick for Zion?
No, I wasn't. I mean, if you look at my reaction on the David Griffin and I, we were standing up there. If you look at my reaction when we got the number two pick, that's even before we went to commercial break to figure out who's going to get number one. I was already clapping when they called out the New York Knicks as number three. And I mentioned before that Patrick Ewing asked me, like, you're clapping like you got the number one pick. And I told him it didn't, at this point, it really doesn't matter. We're going to get a good player either way. So I didn't know in terms of what Ja would be on the court, but I knew that he had the potential. And those top two picks were both considered game-changing players that he had the potential in. I'd rather have him than not.
Did he
the next day, I had an NBA person tell me that it's going to be Ja, we drafted second, and in 10 years, he will be the biggest sports figure and nothing close to it in the history of Memphis.
It's headed that way, I mean, but I've been in the NBA long enough, and I've been playing basketball long enough to know that, longevity is, is one of those things that you have to continue to try to improve. You have to continue to have a quality work ethic. You have to stay healthy. All of those things matter in terms of having a long career. And so our hope is that Ja is the best figure in Memphis basketball history as it relates to the Grizzlies.
I will say this: he certainly was much. I thought he'd be good. I didn't think he'd be this good. I mean, this guy is at a different level. He has that mindset of a Michael Jordan. I mean, he just the way he was talking to James Harden his rookie year and living up to that talk. That you don't see that every day.
Well, again, I think he has all the ingredients to be a great player. You need the confidence in yourself and sort of a chip on your shoulder, if you will, like kind of like a Westbrook, kind of like some of those guys who really come in the league with that chip on their shoulder. But the great part about it is he can back it up. And, so It's not good to have that chip on your shoulder and you can't back it up. I mean, this guy can truly back it up, and I think a lot of players have gained respect for him because he can back it up. And he's still a humble young man.
Yeah, and I loved his reaction yesterday on social media to the progress we think may be being made in resuming the season. He's raring to go. Heck, at 20, he's rested like it's off season, Elliot.
Yeah, I think most players are ready to play. I think if you poll players, that's what they do. They play basketball, and a lot of the other side things, when you think about business, when you think about the pandemic, we know that there's a pandemic going on, but in the short term, guys are thinking about playing basketball, and so Ja's no different. Plus being a rookie, that's really what you want to do.
Just out of curiosity, have you had a chance to look at the at ESPN rankings of the top 74 players of all time?
I haven't.
Oh, because it is interesting. It's all subjective, and they're all great players. In the end, Michael Jordan is number one, and they've got LeBron as number two. I think the only one that I really think they've kind of missed on here is they have Oscar Robertson at 11. I think I would have Oscar Robertson in the top 5.
I think I would have Oscar Robertson where Larry Bird ended up.
I'm trying to remember where was he? 7, 10?
7 or so.
Yeah.
But it's a list, Elliot, that's hard to argue with. I don't want to fight over too much of it. I just think Kareem, all-time leading scorer, sometimes gets a little bit forgotten. But I think it starts with Michael Jordan and LeBron up there at 1 and 2. What do you think?
Yeah. I can't argue that. LeBron. You think about what he's accomplished, and obviously Jordan is Jordan. But I think what happens is that people tend to lean to their era more. Because I played against Jordan, I was in that era. You can't convince me that there's no other player that's better than Michael Jordan. I don't believe that. I can't subscribe to that. But people who played against Oscar Robertson, people who saw Wilt Chamberlain played against Cap, Kareem. Obviously, we know Magic and Bird. We watched that era and what they can do. And you have to throw Kobe Bryant in there because he was kind of sandwiched between both of those eras. Kobe is still one of the great players. And so, I find it interesting, and I say that because the opportunities that I had to talk to, like a John Thompson, he would swear that Bill Russell is the greatest player to ever play the game. And now he played with Bill Russell.
He backed him up.
But I'm just saying, it goes to the era a lot of times that you played in. And so you see those guys and you played against those guys or you watched them play. And at that time, they were the greatest players.
I think it's impossible pretty much to rate players because each generation is different. The game has changed. That's another aspect. Athleticism, nutrition, everything changes.
Right.
I do believe, and I'm biased because I grew up in Chicago and I watched just about every Michael Jordan game there was. And I think he's the best, and I think you can make a case for LeBron. I would probably put Jabbar at number 2, and then I would put in LeBron, and then you've got Bill Russell, and Bill Russell, he dominated his era. He had 11 championships. How can you not have him in your top 5? I've heard some people argue he shouldn't be in the top 5 because he wasn't a great scorer. Are you kidding me? Then Magic and Bird were instrumental in elevating the league to becoming a major league. So their legacy is critically important. Then you've got Wilt Chamberlain, who's in there, and the guy scored 100 points in a game. We know how good he is. There's Bird.
Averaged 50 one year.
There's Bird in there. See, I would have. I'm agreeing with you. I might actually have Oscar ahead of Wilt Chamberlain. The guy averaged a triple-double. Then they got Larry. Then they got Tim Duncan, and we know how steady Tim Duncan was. Is he a top 10 guy? Probably.
In my opinion, yeah.
Yep. Then Kobe, and it's hard to argue as great a player was. I know it's more generational, but the guy was about as good an offensive player as you could get. He could do it all. He's 9.
And good defense.
And Shaq, his teammate, and, of all the big guys, you could probably say athletically, at least for sure on the defensive side, Bill Russell was the greatest big athlete. But for his weight and strength, Shaq should be a top 10 guy.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, no question about it. But, I mean, I think they're, if you poll probably 20 people in the top 10, who are their top 10 players, again, I think you're going to see that, if you poll somebody that's in their 70s, that their top 10 is going to be a lot different than somebody that's in their 20s. Kind of looking back, and then all of us are, in between. And then you still have to account for guys who didn't win a championship. I mean, it doesn't, Barkley, Karl Malone. I mean, I'm sure all those guys are in there, but guys who didn't win a championship, Patrick Ewing, are still guys who are just, phenomenal players, in their era.
Just so you know, your guy Barkley is 23. He is right ahead of David Robinson at 24, and he could move up in the end. But I would think Kawhi Leonard would be placed at a better position than 25.
His book is still being written, and so that I can say he could move up in the long run. Kawhi has all the ingredients. He definitely a top player in his era. And then, I will say that talking about eras, you think about when you're watching like The Last Dance, you think about how physical it was, how tough it was. You could arm bar guys, you could hold guys, you could bump guys coming across the lane. It was just a much more physical game. You didn't have the freedom to run like you could run today. Would Steph Curry be the same Steph Curry? I'm sure these guys will find a way these guys will find a way to get it done. Would James Harden be the same James Harden? We know LeBron would be the same LeBron. I think Westbrook would be the same, type player.
Because they're bigger, because they're stronger. I agree with you there. In Harden's body would have been perfect for that. And Westbrook is strong enough. I think Steph would have had a hard time in the days of the Bad Boys. I think Ja would have struggled with that kind of physicality.
Yeah, until, like I said, I think they would have made their adjustments. Because they're great players, they can put the ball in the hole, and that's the name of the game. But again, they wouldn't have the freedom to do what they're able to do now. And I say that with a lot of respect and a lot of hesitancy because, again, I know great players are going to figure it out. But just
now, these
players playing in that era was just. It was a physical era. I mean, I had to get stronger. I had to get, and of course, I'm at the bottom. I mean, I'm a CD player, but still, playing in that era, proved to be just a lot tougher than it would be playing in this era.
You get a pension. Yeah, that's the P.
That's right. That's the important thing. These guys I'm getting ready to mention would never be argued in anybody's greatest, but I don't know that they could play now, and they were certainly contributors to great teams. There's no place for a guy like Rick Mahorn or Kurt Rambis now.
I think those guys will. I think those guys would figure it out. And the reason I say that, Stat, is because every team needs the sort of a glue guy. Every team needs a guy that that doesn't focus on scoring, that focuses on all the small things. Because I think if you're going to win it all, if you're going to be a great team, if you're going to have chemistry, you need those players who do a lot of the dirty work. You need those players who sacrifice their time, who sacrifice their bodies, who sacrifice minutes, who can see the big picture. Who set great screens. Mahorn was a great screen setter. Last time he was here in Memphis, we were sitting around talking. He said, when you came in the league, little fella, you were just so skinny and so bony. I spared you from tough screens. I said, I'm certainly glad you did. But anyway, I think those guys, because they are really good players, because they are talented, they'll find a way to be productive in the league.
I think it is interesting though, because the games change, and from Michael Jordan's era, and we're talking about that now so much because we're watching The Last Dance. But would Bill Cartwright or Luke Longley, guys who were true post players that didn't stretch offenses out, that weren't going to shoot jump shots from the corner, would they have a role in today's game?
Absolutely. I mean, if you really looked at Bill Cartwright's game, he shot more jump shots than he did, jump hooks. I mean, he was a pick and pop guy who stepped out. It was a funny looking shot, but Cartwright could step out to 15 feet and knock down those jump shots. So I think what happens is, because it's such a jump shot shooting league now, I think guys forget that, a lot of those guys were shooting jump shots then, but it wasn't looked up on, as much as, throwing the ball into the low post. But I mean, I look at the team that we played on in Phoenix. I mean, I played with Joe Klein. He was a jump shooter. I played with Danny.
Ferry?
I can't remember his
Danny
name
Ferry?
Right. No, not Danny Ferry, but Danny Shays.
Danny Frames.
Shays was a jump shooting center. I mean, so a lot of those guys could step out to 15 feet, and again, it was just they were not taking enough of them to be considered, a jump shooting center. So I watched Bill.
Well, they would hardly let them.
Right.
We saw the metamorphosis of Mark here.
Right, and you have to think about this too: is those guys were not getting a lot of touches either. So.
Right.
You're right. We did see the metamorphosis of Mark. And maybe some of those guys, like you say, Cartwright, maybe he would have been encouraged in offenses that are played today to be a more step-out guy and shoot. It was a funky-looking shot, that is for sure. All right, we've heard now that the 22 of the 30 NBA teams should be open for business on Monday. Yesterday, the Miami Heat had 12 guys show up for a voluntary practice. They apparently went in fours and they socially distanced. Everything was right. Do we know, is Memphis going to have FedEx Forum open to them? Are the Grizzlies going to be able to start doing those things on Monday?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I haven't talked to those guys, but I can't see why not. But again, I don't want to speak for them. I think if they're going to allow you to open gyms up, guys have been working from home, doing very little, or if anything, in the way of shooting and running and conditioning. So, yeah, I think it's a prime opportunity for the team to open the gym back up, get guys back in there, and start to get acclimated in terms of their bodies, in terms of getting some kind of conditioning, and then getting shots up, trying to get that rhythm.
Have you gotten any sense from players that you might have talked to about wanting to come back and play? Because they did this vote, and apparently the numbers were pretty in favor of trying to salvage this season. Not everybody is unanimous here. There are some people that still think it's unsafe. What was, if any, have you gotten a sense from any of the players that you might know?
Absolutely, I absolutely have, and all the players that I've talked to, I'm not saying I talked to 100 players, but the ones that I have talked to has been absolutely yes. They want to finish the season. And, I don't think that's unique to, players of today's age. I mean, you go back to some of the lockouts, you go back to some of the things that happened, back in the day. I mean, players wanted to play. I mean, you had a lot of guys who, like, hey, let's get this CBA over with, even though we're not dealing with a collective bargaining agreement. Let's get the CBA over with and let's get back to playing. So the ones that I've talked to, man, I'm ready to play.
I'm ready for him to play. I will tell you that. I guess the one thing I do worry about is the plans that they have to have. They have to have in place enough testing, and they also will have to have the mindset that if we find somebody positive, we're still playing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think those are tough decisions that you have to make. But I think, don't put the cart before the horse, and start to worry about all of those things. Be proactive in those things. But first things first for me, can we play? Do guys want to play? Do teams want to play? Do we want to finish the season? And then how and where we're going to do this, put all those things together. You get those things agreed upon. And then, you start to think about, okay, we've been proactive on these things. So now this second phase is making sure we have all the tests, making sure we have those things. But, I think they're going to have to settle on some dates and some times to play, to start.
Elliot, we can't thank you enough for chatting with us throughout this pandemic. It's fun to just sort of reminisce and think of new things, and always a delight chatting with you. Thank you. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right. That is
Thank you,
Elliot Perry inside Hoops City.
And Dave, he mentioned the night, and I wasn't eavesdropping on Rick Mahorn and Elliot's conversation, but I could hear her. And when he got up and left the table, I leaned over, I think to Greg Gaskins, somebody was at the table as well, and said, "What size suit jacket do you think that is on Rick Mahorn?"
Meaning that it's gotten really big?
Well, he always was, but he's really big.
Yeah. No.
He was big in 1990 in shape. He's really big in 2020. Not in that great a shape.
He has gotten big.
Cornbread Maxwell's big man too when he comes in with Boston.
I haven't seen Cornbread Maxwell lately. I'm not sure that I've seen Mahorn. I can't picture him like. Are you saying obese?
You would
like
know it.
Big?
No, just the just how broad his shoulders are.
Yeah. I'll tell you, the guy that I always thought was going to be that way was Wes Unseld, who I've always thought is one of the most underappreciated players. The guy was like 6'6".
He really was.
And he was one of the greatest rebounders in the game of his era at that.
Just crafty.
Really like Dennis Rodman, sort of crafty.
Mm-hmm.
He might have been
and
the
Dave,
first guy.
Never mind the rebounds. The number of flat foot, the ball just finds him rebounds.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's because he was like Rodman. He studied the angles of shots and where the ball would go, and he just knew where to be because the ball was going to meet him. By the way, we had a texter on the First Bank text line, or somebody called, one or the other, wanting to know about Julius Erving. Julius is 15 on that list, and that's about right. Julius was
That's
a
fair. That's
great
fair.
player. Look, you're talking about of all time, and you're 15? Who could complain with that?
Yeah. Yeah, wouldn't want to get too mad over that. And yesterday we had a texter at the First Bank text line text about Dr. J. And the first time I saw him was with the Virginia Squires in the ABA at the Coliseum. Then I saw him with the Nets at the Coliseum. Saw a rookie named Larry Keenan with the New York Nets as well. And that night was a decent crowd at the Coliseum for ABA games. It was never real full
Really?
at those games. But no, even with Larry Finch. No,
seriously, they didn't really bring in. What about like when Dan Issel and
2,500?
That's it for the ABA.
I've told you, my mother's spot is secure in heaven for sitting through those ABA games with me. Dad wouldn't go. He said, "I'm not going to that." He said, "It's junior high basketball." He said, "I'm not going to watch it." And
Wow.
he wouldn't go. So mom and I would go. And other family friends would go, but between the ball and the brand of play, it was not traditional enough. But we would go and saw them all come through. Saw Charlie Scott, saw Wilt Chamberlain coach. He did not play, and my mother had one of the classic lines. We're crossing the new bridge, and it had just opened, and she said, "Let me get this straight. We're going to watch a guy coach." She was almost in Allen Iverson practice mode. We're going to watch a guy coach. Is that right? I said, "Yes, Wilt Chamberlain." She said, "Okay."
She was a good mom. She is a good mom.
She is.
I will say this. The only time I ever watched the ABA was in Denver. Well, before it became the NBA.
Oh, you got a lead ABA then, Dave.
And it was 1975. And that
they won it that year.
That was Larry Brown was the coach. David Thompson was the star.
Doug Moe, the assistant.
Bobby Jones was a great player on that team. It was a great team.
David Thompson.
Yeah, well, he was the star. David Thompson was worth the price of admission. Tom Burleson,
Monty Towell.
Yep. But here's my thing for you. The crowds at McNichols Arena.
And it was brand new.
That was the first big arena I ever did. I did a state high school championship there. Steamboat made it.
Nice.
I got to
I'd
go.
love to hear the tape.
The first time I ever
I'd love to hear the tape.
First time I ever used a microphone. I've got tape. First time I ever used a microphone headset, and the first time I ever did a game in a big stadium. I mean, I thought I had died and gone to heaven. But
you killed it, baby.
But when I traveled to cover the ABA team, It was the same thing like the Denver Broncos.
Really?
At Mile High. Yeah. Those were packed, but McNichols was packed for those games. It was like an NBA game.
Had Alex English was there by then, wasn't he?
I think so. I think he was.
They were loaded.
I remember Burleson. I remember Monty Tao. I remember David Thompson was the star. Bobby Jones was that was the first time I'd ever really seen Bobby Jones, and I thought, man, he and
what
David
a skill
Thompson
player
were. Yeah, they were great. And one
of the great screen setters of all time was Bobby Jones.
Oh yeah, well he did everything with great form.
Just so fundamentally sound.
Yeah,
he was cut out of a coaching tape. How he played, Dave. But George Garvin was in the ABA. But one of my favorite ABA guys, non-Memphis guys, was a player on the Miami Floridians. Now, how long do you think they put thought into nicknaming them the Floridians? About 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Matt Calvin. I love Matt Calvin.
Matt Calvin. I remember that guy for sure. I'll let you know our title sponsor this hour is brought to you by Homer and Genesis. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai, and that technology is so good. But then you think about Genesis and go up a notch. That's the luxury car made by Hyundai. And right now, 0% financing for 84 months on both of those products. And they're both being written about in all the automotive magazines. They're also good. They give you a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. There's 0% financing. First ones to do it was Genesis of Olive Branch and Homer Skelton Hyundai. They even entice you with 120 days before you have to make your first payment on select models. Just go see what I'm talking about. This is the standard of car business right now. If you get on Lamar, get into Mississippi, it's the first exit, Craft Road, turn left. See what I'm talking about. Lots of opportunity on great, safe products. With all this new technology, you will love what you see at Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. We talk some baseball with Tim Doolin. We're going to be heavy on it in the next 45 minutes or so, because after that will be Bob Carpenter. Baseball front and center. It starts next.
Want to get your voice heard? Hit us up on the First Bank phone line or First Bank text line.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up and get back to playing the game we all love. Edwin Watts Golf Shop is now fully reopened to serve all your golfing needs. Our team has taken precautions to ensure your shopping safety when you visit our stores. Come in today and get the best deals on clubs, bags, balls, apparel, and more. And at Edwin Watts, we offer free custom club fitting, club repair, and trade-ins. Now, let's get out there and play some golf. Edwin Watts Golf Shop, home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Central Barbecue is committed to the health and safety of this community, who has supported Central for almost 20 years. Central Barbecue is still open for business with to-go and delivery options to serve the greater Memphis area with the same great barbecue you have come to know and love. With 4 locations to serve you, from downtown, midtown, and East Memphis, you can order your favorite barbecue and enjoy everything on the menu in the comfort of your own home. Call your nearest Central Barbecue location for more information on delivery and to-go options today.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Cruising through Our Thursday edition on what has turned out to be just another beautiful day. We're getting warmer, that is for sure. Getting warmer means you better make sure your air conditioning unit's going to work, because we're going to be in the 80s this weekend, I promise you. We may be close to 80 right now. Conway Services has the $69 Super 16-point tune-up. It is sensational. They're even throwing in a free leak check right now. All you've got to do is make the call, 384-3511. I'm a Comfort Club member. I get it done twice a year. Makes me feel better to know that my system will last longer, and I know that I'm not spending more on my MLGW bill than I need to. But you gotta see it for yourself to start. They come in, they're going to go right to your closet. They're going to make sure they change your old filters. Then they're going to do all the tuning up inside. Then they're going to go outside and really clean that outside unit, like taking your system to the car wash. That's the way John likes to talk about it. It's true. They get all the dirt and the leaves and all the grime off. They're going to put a little Teflon spray on the blades to make sure it's protected from the hot summer sun in Memphis. And then you're ready to go. 384-3511. Your system will last longer. Your MLGW bill will be lower, and your house will be cool if you call Conway. We want to know baseball. We call Tim Doolin. How are you, my friend? Are you optimistic? Do you really think that July 4th I will be watching baseball in my den?
I was more optimistic last week. I'm still optimistic. But I think everybody discounted the fact that just because the commissioner's office was going to set dates, that it was just going to happen. And obviously, there's been some snags with the union and the owners, and they got some work to do. I can tell you that.
I agree, Tim. I was a 9 on a scale of 10. I won't go 10 or 0 ever on anything ever again, especially after this pandemic. I was a 9 last week. I'm down to about a 5 now.
5?
Yeah, I'm probably in the 6 or 7 range, but I've talked to a couple people the last couple of days, and you know, I think the union, especially today, there's been some players come out and speak, and it's been unfortunate because I don't know that the union's done a good enough job of explaining to the players what they need to say to the media, because sometimes the message gets kind of skewed, and with the perception that a lot of fans might have is saying, man, the players are being kind of insensitive to the fans and so forth. And, you know, one illustration is, you guys will appreciate, is the fact that, you know, the owners saying that they're going to lose 40% of their revenues. No, they're not. The right wording is they're only going to make 60% of their projected revenue. So instead of making $10 billion, they're going to make $6 billion. So, and then yet we're asking the players, who are all the ones that are at risk. Owners aren't at risk. They're going to sit in the booth. They're not you know, going to be impacted by potential getting infected by this. So I think the players' union's got to do a better job of communicating with their players, and I think that they've got some work to do to kind of create a better image of what that we need to work together to make baseball happen.
I think some players were right out there up front, and that was Blake Snell, the Tampa Bay Rays ace. He just basically said, I'm not risking my life, which, you know, when he first started saying that, I'm going, okay, here's a guy, he's really worried about playing baseball. They've got all this testing in there and all this, but he wants more money. He's not going to do it for half price, basically, was his sentiment. I don't know how that sits with fans personally. If the guy was making a stand on health, I'd be all for him. But this is all about money. And if you're only going to play half the games and your revenue stream is even gutted by another 38 to 42%, I understand where baseball is saying, look, we want you to get your money, but we want you to take on some of the losses that we're going to take on too. I'm getting from
Wolo, the owners have never and will never open up their books to show what the revenues really are and how much they're making.
Well,
so,
wouldn't they have to this year? Sides. Whoa. Wouldn't they have to this year? If they're saying to you, look, we want to split just this year because we're not talking salary cap really. We're saying this year because we are not going to have fans for the majority of the time, which is a big revenue stream. We want to split 50-50 all the revenues this year only. After that, we go back to what we've been doing. No salary cap. The greatest stars are going to get the most money from the New York Yankees. I'm saying this year, if they do that, they would have to show their books.
Yeah, but they're not going to. I mean, have you ever seen anybody's book? I mean, these guys have made billions of dollars in their whatever industry they've been in prior to baseball. They know how to cook the books. And I'm just telling you, look, you can argue they're going to lose money this year, but most of these franchises increase in value every year. So that's where they're going to still increase in value.
I don't know about that. You think
sure they are.
You think?
What do
you wait a second.
Unless this happens and multiplies over 4, 5, or 6 years. But look, take every major league owner that owns a franchise and look over since they've owned it, what the value of their franchise has escalated.
No question. But I'm saying to you right now, if the New York Mets were to sell, would they sell for the same amount of money that they did? When Will Pond bought them?
That owner's not going to sell today. It's just like owning a stock. You're not going to sell today just because you got a dip in the market. But at the end of the day, it's going to bounce back up and exceed what he purchased for it, and that's where he's going to benefit. The player's not. The player's only making his money, 5-6 years on average. So
and Tim,
I'm arguing both sides. All I'm saying is Blake Snell should not have said what he said.
Yeah, and I'm more pro player on almost all of these than I am the owner, and it's not a class warfare thing, but I know no rain, no rainbows. You don't have these stars, you don't have anything, and the NFL proved it with replacement players that year. There were people out there wearing 49er uniforms and Cowboy uniforms, and anybody with decent vision could go, that ain't the NFL. I don't care what they call it. That's not real football. But Tim, the PR optics, the owners have the players over a barrel. It's a shame, and big usually squishes little. That's a shame too. But the optics of Blake Snell, how would you like to be a young man or young lady, 28, 29, 30 years old in the marketing department of the Seattle Mariners? You've been furloughed or fired, and you're making $45,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, and Blake Snell's already made $9 million and set to make $40 more million over the next 3 years.
Hey, the bottom line is that's what I was saying on the onset. Blake Snell should not have said what he said. The union should have advised all the players on how to answer certain questions, because we're sitting here talking about it's just not a good look for the players. But I can tell you this, I believe we all know that the Major League Baseball's union is the strongest of all the sports.
Mm-hmm.
These players in this union will sit this year and not play before they are getting backed into a wall or a corner.
I agree.
So is that the reason
that's why I'm at 5.
that you went to 5 and you went to 6 or 7, Timmy?
Say that again.
Is it the financial aspect of this plan that has backed you down?
No, it's not so much that. I just don't think it's fair that the owners are taking advantage of the situation to back the players into a corner, thinking that they're going to take advantage. Look, they've already affected the players in the draft, which is not fair. The players' union agreed to it, but they didn't agree to 5 rounds. They were wanting 10 rounds. So, and look, each owner is going to save $1 million by doing the draft this way. $1 million. That's like $100 to those guys.
That's tires on the airplane.
So it's affecting a lot of the player side of stuff, because the players have to concede stuff. I just don't think this union is going to allow the owners, as bad as we all want baseball to be back, and the fans do, and everybody, and the players want to play. I mean, I talked to Mookie today. He's fishing. I'm playing golf with him tomorrow, so he's enjoying this, but he's ready. I promise you, he's ready to get back to baseball. But none of them are going to be backed into a corner.
So,
how long is he off the tee?
How long is he off the tee? Well, put it this way: he's spending more time fishing and golfing and bowling than he is baseball right now. But he knows.
But
I mean,
he-
he's
Can
in
he
shape.
play?
He's just not hitting a lot right now.
Is he in
But
town?
can
Where
he
are you
play
playing
golf?
He's in Nashville, Franklin.
Oh, are you playing at the Golf Club of Tennessee, my friend?
I really can't say where we're playing, but there's some nice courses up there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well,
it is, Tim.
that one happens to be one of my favorites. I think that's the best course in Nashville, personally.
Yeah, it is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Almost as nice as Miramichi.
Almost. Which, by the way, is in pretty darn good shape. I played it last weekend.
Yeah, their
that's
greens
for
in
sure.
spectacular shape.
Are the baseball players in any kind of shape? Because you listen to these basketball players. Half of them didn't have any access to basketball hoops.
Yeah.
So they've been doing weights and they've been keeping their cardio, but they're not in basketball shape. And it's been a long time since spring training. What kind of shape are they in?
I think they're in okay shape. I think cardio, aerobic exercise, and probably playing catch to keep their arms in shape. And obviously the younger players are probably more active than, say, a veteran player like Mookie. I don't think I think the players know that if they're going to have 3 to 4 weeks of spring training, these guys know what they got to do to get ready to play. I think the biggest thing for baseball players is how soon can they get in there and start seeing some live pitching. That's the biggest adjustment for these guys.
Tim, if we play, with how Kevin Cash handled his starters last year mostly, Blake Snell was an exception. Let's talk a little baseball here. Blake Snell was an exception. He was a traditional starter and would go out there and last a pretty good while. But with how Kevin Cash would start a guy 2 innings and then bring in a couple guys with the short season and increased rosters, is that strategy better over the course of 162 or is it better over the course of a sprint in 82?
I would lend to think that to say that it's more of an advantage for the 82 games, and it's going to be an advantage for the Rays who've done it over 162 games and had some success. So I think, obviously, we've talked about this. I think rosters are going to be expanded. I think managers right now are assuming that we're going to play, and they're going through with all the analytics that we have, and God knows we've got plenty of that. They're going through all these scenarios themselves. And clubs, I do think that clubs that have never done that are going to consider doing more of that. And I think it's a good idea.
With these, I guess, 30-man rosters, 20-man taxi squads, how much of that is going to be pitching, do you think?
Oh, I would say 3/4 of it probably.
I was going to say all of it. Yeah. And catchers, pitchers and catchers.
Yeah. No, I think pitchers and catchers make up the bulk of it. There'll be a few position players. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to be. I don't think we're going to have any minor league baseball, unfortunately. I don't think so. I think you're going to see all the minor league guys go to spring training sites. There'll be that taxi squad that you talk about that's going to stay in shape.
And they'll all be AA and AAA guys, right?
That'll be all AA and AAA guys, and probably some 40-man guys that are, bubble guys that are big-time prospects or whatever. I think you'll see a splattering of some of that. But ultimately, it's unfortunate that we're not going to have minor league baseball, but I just don't see – if they're not allowed to have fans in the stands, it makes no sense to send – players to Memphis, Tennessee, have them rent an apartment and go play in front of no fans. It's just too costly.
I agree.
Totally
with that.
agree.
What do you think about the way that it'll be universal DH, and also the alignment that they're going to play? I mean, are we going to play at home? And that seems to be one thing they're going to have to give them that because that's what the players want, and they're not getting the money aspect, at least at this point. So how do you think they'll make these divisions up? Will it be like the central time zone teams, or how will they do this?
You're asking a question. I have no idea. I think there's still too many unknowns with which states are open for business, which states are considering opening for business by the time. How much time do we need before we place these teams in a division, based on the feedback we get from each location. I do like the universal DH for this year, and it's like a good way to test it. It allows some more players to make the club and be competitive and put up numbers and all that stuff. and I think it simplifies the maneuvering and the managing of the game a little bit better to a lot, because we're dealt with 82 games instead of 162. So
you're not a fan of double switches, is that what you're telling me?
No, I'm a fan of the strategy of the game. I love the National League, but I think this is a good time, as good a time as any, to test the waters of having the universal stage.
Yeah, experiment.
Yeah.
This year should be the.
I just
the
don't
test
want.
lab.
I don't want extra innings to go to a man on second with 2 outs. That's like youth baseball stuff. I'm not a fan.
I may cry when I see it.
I would not like that. Yeah. I'm not happy about the universal DH, but I'm a lone wolf.
Yeah.
I'm a lone wolf.
Right.
As always, my friend, thank you. Hit them well tomorrow.
Thank you, Tim. Have fun. Swing hard.
Send me a picture. I won't tell anybody where you are.
I'll do it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Guys, thanks. All right, see you.
One of our guys on baseball, that is Tim Doolin. We will, by the way, also at the top of the hour, we'll be talking to our good friend Bob Carpenter, the voice of the Washington Nationals. This portion of the show is brought to you by the commissary, the Germantown commissary, the Collierville commissary. What a good job Walker Taylor did with us earlier this year to talk about the dilemma that restaurants have. And I think Dr. Ganuski sort of went along with that today too. We can open up restaurants, but you got to feel secure about going in, and some people are not. Young people, I can understand it. Older people, I get that too, and that's why Walker Taylor is still keeping curbside going in Germantown. He's still keeping that drive-through going in Collierville. You can go in if you choose to. He'd love to have you come in. His waiters and waitresses would love to have you come in. But if you want to pick up, he's more than happy to take care of you that way too. And they are really good at sanitizing. They are really good at social distancing. They have it down because they've been doing it the entire pandemic. Please head to Germantown Commissary or the Collierville Commissary for your ribs or your shoulder, whatever you want tonight. It's still all the same menu, all the great food, even the deviled eggs still happening at Germantown Commissary in that little quaint neighborhood in Germantown, the old Germantown they call it, and the newest, the Collierville Commissary, right there at Poplar and Houston Levy Road. Back in just 1 minute to put a wrap on this second hour of Sports Time.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and C.J. Hertz, right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
If you're going on vacation, making a college campus visit, or if business takes you out of town, there's just no better place to board your dog than Barks and Recreation, 965 Reddick Cove between Bud Davis Cadillac and the Blue Plate Cafe in East Memphis. Boarding, daycare, grooming, we have the best of everything at Barks. Indoor-outdoor kennels so your family member can go in and out as they please. Indoor and outdoor play areas. 4 walks a day. Group play and individual attention from the best staff in the Mid-South, which includes an overnight staff to ensure the safety and comfort of your pet 24 hours a day. All reasons to choose Barks and Recreation above all other boarding and daycare facilities. BarksDaycare.com or 509-0909. Check us out and make your reservations now at BarksDaycare.com. If your dog could speak, he'd say Barks.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a money market that moves with Wall Street prime and interest-bearing checking account options. Not to mention their friendly bankers who make decisions locally. To find out more, stop by one of First Bank's 3 local branches. 6482 Poplar Avenue, just east of International Paper. 8398 Highway 64 across from Wolf Chase. And 6280 Highway 64 in Oakland. Or visit firstbankonline.com. Member FDIC.
Geico presents, not again, another voicemail from your roommate.
Hey, man, so I was in a rush to get to work and I left the back door open. Could you shut it? I left it wide open. While you're there, could you also turn off the oven? And all of the burners. My mom never let me use the oven. I wonder why.
The Geico Insurance Agency could help keep your personal property protected, like if it's your roommate's first time operating an oven. Visit geico.com to see how easy it is to switch and save on renter's insurance.
This is Eli Savoy from Sports 56 Middays. During this coronavirus pandemic, many of us are spending all day at home, and we remind you that you can stay in touch and connected through Sports 56. We're here live and local every day, keeping you informed and entertained as we all try our best to get through this healthy and safe. So turn us on your radio, computer, phone, or smart speaker and keep practicing social distancing. Stay home, stay informed, and stay entertained with Sports 56 and sports56whbq.com.
Now, more of Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Cruising through our Thursday. Coming up, Bob Carpenter at the top of the hour. I mentioned earlier in the program, 5 of the NBA's top earners, LeBron James, Steph Curry, John Wall, Blake Griffin, Paul George, they were already paid in full. So when these paychecks come out minus the money, 1% of all games missed tomorrow, that's the first non-full paycheck the NBA players will get, it will not affect those 5 guys. They will have to pay back their money next year. How about that?
It'll just get held out. They won't have to formally sit down and write a check, but it'll just get held out. But tomorrow is a big day for them, and they say that June 1 could really get dicey. And around sports, we're seeing that. And Dave, we referenced earlier our familiarity, and I don't think we're the exception here. When you think of the NFL owners, we don't know them, but it feels like we know them. The old guard: Rooney, Hallis, Hunt, McCaskey, Ford, Bidwell, Davis, Benson, Jones. I mean, you can, of the 31 teams and publicly owned the Packers, we could probably win certainly a multiple choice test for that.
Sure.
I couldn't tell you who owns the Cincinnati Reds or the Minnesota Twins. And if it's not Bud Selig's family, I couldn't tell you who owned the Brewers if my life depended on it.
I haven't known the Reds owner since Marge Schott.
Yeah.
And I used to know
the
them all.
Braves.
I mean, we used to. Part of that is seriously. I do wonder if part of that is we've turned our attention so much now to all the other major leagues. Like, who knew when I was a kid who owned, in Chicago, I knew Hallis and the Bears and the Roonies
That's right.
with the Steelers. It was Clint Murchison, I think, was the Cowboys then.
But you really know who owned Washington?
You know what? I did for a little bit there. I'm trying to remember why I knew. George Allen went there.
Probably because it wasn't flattering, because George Marshall was renowned meathead.
But then we started taking a look. I knew all the baseball teams when I was growing up. The Wrigleys, the Comiskey's. They owned their stadiums. You knew
the O'Malley's.
O'Malley's Crosley Field was owned by one of the original Cincinnati Reds owners. So
But since Ted Turner, have you really known who owned the Braves?
No, I have not.
I don't.
But it's because we've turned our attention to who owns the Falcons or who owns the Hawks.
Well, and how they roll is so glamorous. I mean, you hear about the planes and the helicopters and Jerry Jones' fashionable boat draft night. They roll like big time Hollywood movie stars.
Well, I got to tell you, I was stunned, and I think it was Drew who told me. I assumed heck of a yacht. Wow, $25 million. That's a lot of money for a yacht. I mean, that you can get a heck of an airplane for $25 million. And when you said it was $250, I forgot a zero. I almost fell out of my chair. $250 $1 billion for a boat?
Yeah, and when you're worth or whatever, 7, 8, and you could sell the Cowboys tomorrow for $5. And Jerry Jones from the beginning said that he wanted the Jones name listed with that old guard. He's already in the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's cracked the Rooney, McCaskey, Hallis, Hunt, Ford, Mara League, but he's really darn close. And NBA owners we know mostly because now that we have a team. I don't know that during the days of Larry Bird, I knew who owned the Celtics. I probably would have said Red Auerbach. He didn't.
No, he never owned them. I think he got a percentage of them toward the
Oh,
end.
I'm sure he did.
He did.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
I think I did know Abe Poland
read?
owned the Bullets, the Wizards.
Oh yeah, absolutely he did. And the old time, who was the old time owner of the Knicks? I knew that one too.
Dave, I don't remember, and that was kind of my team in the day. Who owned the Bulls? But until Reinsdorf and Einhorn, I didn't know.
I'm really not sure who originally brought them. That's a really good question. You've got to remember, Chicago failed twice,
right,
in the NBA before the Bulls.
I knew Donald Carter owned the Mavericks when they came in.
He owned the MLS team too, the MISL team too. I first met him when I was doing the Americans before he even owned the Mavericks.
But I couldn't tell you who owned the Kansas City Kings.
I don't know. That could have been an Omaha businessman for all we know there. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows it's a big deal. You're going out to build that dream home or that renovation with innovation where you bring in all the modern amenities. That's why he works closely with his clients, ensuring you're going to get exactly what you want, what you expect, what you should get. And that's quality construction on time, on budget. He's been doing that for 2 generations all across the Mid-South. Go see what I'm talking about. Go to kengarland.com. If you're looking for a new development, he partners sometimes. There's a gated community by Boyle. It's called Alaylon, and they have wonderful lots there. And this gated community is right at Messick Road, east of Kirby, all the way to McVeigh. 4-bedroom homes starting at $875,000. Safe and beautiful. Go take a look. Alaylon. Go to kengarland.com, then call Ken, 751-1632. Always on the money, 751-1632. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Baseball front and center again in a minute. The one, the only Bob Carpenter is next.
DeSoto Auto Sales specializes in late model cars with low mileage. They have the highest standards in the car industry. All of their cars are test driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, every make and model. And if it's not on the lot, they'll find it for you. Walk in the door of DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Within 45 minutes, you can test your car, get credit approval, and finish paperwork within an hour. No shortcuts at DeSoto Auto Sales. Kind, courteous employees, a down-home environment. DeSoto Auto Sales cares about your time. Lowest prices in a 350-mile radius. We're living in a world today where time does matter. Visit them online. Check out their referrals. DeSotoAutosales.com. Very proud to serve DeSoto County and other surrounding areas. DeSoto Auto Sales, 5704 Goodman Road. Call 662-890-7184. 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales.
Hi, it's the Herd. This goes without saying, but the last few months have taught us what's important in life. Family, friends, health, jobs, you name it. It's also taught us what we need to eliminate or change. Same goes for all businesses all across America. If you're a business leader, you already know and thought about changes you need to make. And now's the time to make them. Do you have a hairball of multiple software systems when you could and should streamline with just one? The only system you need now, NetSuite by Oracle, the world's #1 cloud business system. Because with NetSuite, you get a full picture of your business, from finance to HR to inventory to e-commerce and more. You'll finally have everything you need all in one place. And it's all in real time, right from your phone or desktop. No more guessing, no more waiting. You'll save time, money, and headaches by having one source of truth, whether you're doing $1 million or hundreds of millions in sales. NetSuite gives you visibility and control. You can manage every penny with precision, like the team at moinkbox.com. Moink offers an ethical meat subscription box delivered right to your door. They use NetSuite to manage their supply and distribution so their network of farms can forecast demand. Moink trusts NetSuite as the source of truth for all their numbers. NetSuite's a big part of Moink's promise to give you the most delicious meat you've ever tasted. Join the over 20,000 companies who trust NetSuite to go faster with confidence. NetSuite surveyed hundreds of business leaders and assembled a playbook of the top strategies they're using as America reopens for business, and they're offering it to you for free. Receive your free guide, 7 Actions Businesses Need to Take Now, and schedule your free product tour at netsuite.com/hurt. This is your rebound playbook as the economy opens back up. Get your free guide, 7 Actions Businesses Need to Take Now, and schedule your free product tour. netsuite.com/herd, netsuite.com/HERD.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 on social media. We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome back to Sportstime on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sportstime is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brett Norsworthy.
Can't wait to visit with the voice of the champions of baseball, the world champion Washington Nationals, and the voice of the Nationals, Bob Carpenter, with us after I tell you about the sponsor of this hour, and that's our friends down on Goodman Road at DeSoto Auto Sales. Visit them online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They're at 5704 Goodman Road, 662-890-7184. Come on down to DeSoto County for that town and country experience at DeSoto Auto Sales, where all the cars are test-driven, checked out from head to toe, unlimited inventory, and every make, every model on their lot. If it's not on the lot, they'll go out and find it for you. No shortcuts taken at DeSoto Auto Sales, where you're treated like family by kind, courteous employees with a laid-back, down-home atmosphere, no high-pressure sales, but they care about your time and want you to have the ultimate car experience because they know we're living in a world today that time really matters. Within 45 minutes, you test drive your car, credit approved, paperwork completed, and you're gone in your new car in time to do it over your lunch hour or immediately after work. Visit them online at DeSotoAutoSales.com. They're very proud to serve DeSoto County at 5704 Goodman Road. Come on down to DeSoto Auto Sales for that town and country experience.
It has been a good day around Memphis. No spike in the COVID-19 cases. They are looking on the 18th, 4 days from now, to get into phase 2 of opening things up. That's good. Market was slightly up today. Blue Cross Blue Shield is now going to give permanent coverage of virtual visits. First time, and this is the way it's going to be, first time we're going to see that they'll pay for this telehealth. So the world is changing. That is for sure. One thing that doesn't, our friend Bob Carpenter. Well, wait a second. Here's a change. He's the world champion. He gets a ring. You didn't get your ring yet, did you?
Nope.
Is that going to happen on July 4th? How are they doing that now, Bob Carpenter?
Well, our people have said that we will not have our big raising of the pennant or ring ceremony until we have fans in the stands.
Oh.
So, Wolo, I could be getting my 2019 World Series ring in March or April of 2021.
That could happen.
Bob.
That really could.
Only me has stuff like this happen to him. But you know what? It's better than not getting anything.
That's for sure. And what a run!
You know you want it.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a long time coming, and it'll be worth it. And hey, the Nationals. Who won the World Series in '93? Was that the Orioles? I think the Orioles might have. It was either the Orioles or Toronto. I can't remember for sure.
I'm going to say
maybe
it was
they were
Toronto
in '93.
I think it was Toronto.
Yeah, I was thinking '83 was probably Baltimore.
Yeah,
the
Toronto
Blue
'83
Jays
was.
The Toronto Blue Jays, because there was no World Series in '94, have been the longest-serving defending world champions in baseball history.
Yeah.
And the Washington Nationals will probably match that.
Whoa,
there will be some kind of World Series this year.
Yeah,
but
I mean, come on.
In terms of getting rings and all that, we're going to be defending champions without playing a game probably longer than anybody else.
Well, I'm glad you clarified, because for a minute there, I was thinking you were saying this is not really going to happen this year. What is your gut feel about baseball on the 4th of July?
I think we're going to play baseball by then. I had a long talk with my TV boss today, and I think everybody around baseball is optimistic that there's going to be baseball. But, right now you got this whole thing going on with the owners and the players. And I really wish guys like Snell, the kid from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah.
I really wish guys like Blake Snell would keep their opinions to themselves right now until things get settled, because he's not putting his best foot forward as a player who does not want to be looked upon as being greedy or it's all about the money. 2 months ago, he was a guy who was quoted as saying, and I'm getting this from MLB Network Radio, where I heard it today. 2 months ago, Blake Snell said, hey, if I get the virus, I get the virus. Let's play, let's do this, let's do that. And now in the last day or two, he comes out and says, I'm risking my life if I go out there, and there is no way I'm going out there at some of the reductions in salary that the owners are talking about. There are times when you just shouldn't have a whole lot to say until the facts are in and agreements have been made. I know Trevor Bauer, he's calling the commissioners and the owners' proposal laughable right now.
Right.
And Trevor Bauer's a guy who speaks his mind, and he also turns around and throws baseballs into fountains when he gets taken out of a ball game, and I know he regrets he did that. But, there are just some things that don't need to be said right now.
I agree. I agree with you. I thought the Blake Snell thing, I first started reading this. I'd forgotten he had said what he had said earlier. I'm reading this thing, and I'm reading the quote here. It goes, not risking my life. And I'm going, okay. He obviously doesn't like the fact that they say that if indeed there is a case that they're going to continue to play, they'll quarantine the player for 10 days, the one guy, but they're going to keep going. And they got all these tests. There'll be multiple tests every week. Maybe he wasn't figuring it was safe, and then he goes for half the price. And then you knew it was just all about the money. And now he really has put his foot in his mouth when you give us the prior statements where I just want to play.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing, guys. Common sense, okay? It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to have common sense. I think a lot of times we just need to, rest our gums for a minute and think about things. The average Joe and Mary working person in America who may or may not be working, may or may not have any money coming in, the last thing they want to hear right now, whether they're a baseball fan or they are not, or whether they're a sports fan or they are not, is some player who at even half of his salary is going to make $4 million this year. It's my understanding Blake Snell set to make $8 million this year if he was paid in full. People don't want to hear that, guys. You have to be sensitive. And I'll tell you, I forget who, Casey Stern maybe was the guy who said it. Maybe it could have been Ryan Spilborghs, who's a former player with the Rockies, and he's on the radio a lot. He says the thing we have to understand about a lot of athletes is most of them do not have college educations, much less degrees. They kind of live in a bubble. Their life is different than ours. And so, they say things that if they had a little more awareness of what's going on around them, like in their own country, they just wouldn't say. Because the average hardworking American, those are the people I'm thinking about, Wolo. I've had extensive communications with people on our crew, our TV crew, and these are 60 people up in the Baltimore, Washington area. Half of them work the home show when the Nationals are home. Half of them work the away show for the team that comes in. Right now, they have no shows to work. They have no basketball games to work. They have no baseball games to work. This is their livelihood. This isn't some job on the side. And I've talked to several members of our crew. I've heard what they have to say, and they're not making one red cent right now. And people who are in that situation do not need to hear from athletes whatever the sport, complaining about only making half of their salary when it's still going to be millions.
Well said, Bob.
His case, four to 4.5.
Yeah. And almost 50 over the next 4 years for Blake Snell, visiting with Bob Carpenter. And Bob, I kind of a preemptive strike on at the end of the year when a World Series champion is crowned. I have vowed that regardless of who wins it, I will not go asterisk or but or it was in a strike year. I don't think it was fair for the Braves to kind of have to endure that in 95 or the Dodgers in 81. And I know one thing that will kind of give it the stamp of approval if one of the premier teams won it, Yankees, Dodgers, Cardinals, Cubs, if they win it, oh yeah, it counts. You let the Mariners backdoor it. You let the Rays that very easily backdoor it. I'm afraid people go, yeah, it was in an 82-game year, the year of the virus, big deal. That's not fair.
Yeah. No, that's a great thought on your part. And, what I say to everybody else who's not happy with that, well, we used to say that, us kids used to say in the playground when you weren't happy about something, hey, tough toenails.
No kidding.
Your team had the same opportunity, whether it was a short season or an entire season, to do what they did. And I was talking about this with somebody else on a radio show. I think up in St. Louis a couple days ago. Frank Cusimano and I were talking about this, that some team could get really hot for 4 or 5 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, and a Seattle or Oakland who always contends, but they just
San
can't
Diego.
get over that hump. Yeah, the Padres. Who knows? Probably not the Marlins. I will disclaim that. But, some team that's not supposed to win over a 6-month season could get hot and win their first ever world championship. It could happen.
Well, last year, the Cubs would have been in the playoffs after 82 games. I'm not sure the Nationals would have been.
No, because
right.
we went 19-31 in our first 50.
Yeah, right.
It took the Nationals until the last week of September to make up the ground that they did not enjoy early. So, we were 19-31. That's 50 games into the season, guys. So, I'm no math genius, but it's not quite 1/3 of the way. 54 games is the 1/3 mark. But with 112 games left, the Nationals had to win 71 of those 112 games to get to 90, to have any chance at all of being a playoff team. I think the Cardinals made it in with 86 wins or something, several years ago. But usually 90 is the benchmark.
83 wins in 06.
Yeah. Yeah, and they won the whole thing. And they came behind any which way you can in the playoffs and during the regular season. But, usually 90 is the benchmark. So our guys had to win 71 of those 112 games to get to 90. Well, they won 74. They got to 93 wins. Had all the momentum in the world you could want going into the World Series. So, and it's weird because, after 82 games, blah, blah, blah. Well, this year, after 82 games, in a way, nobody's winning it. Nobody's out of it because we're going to play 80. I heard today we're going to play somewhere around 84 games. The season is going to end at the end of September, and then the expanded playoffs begin. I think Major League Baseball thought better of having the regular season run all the way through October and try to play, like 120 or 130 games, something like that. So, or at least well over 100. I think they thought better of that, and I think what they're thinking is instead of baseball being a marathon, this year it will be a sprint. They're going to expand the playoffs. You'll have 14 cities out of 30 in the playoffs, and that'll add some excitement to the whole thing as well. And whether there are fans in the stands by that time, we have no idea of knowing.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
And I'm hearing rumblings that as far as broadcast goes, which is what I do, there may be, this has not been settled yet, but there's a possibility that no broadcast crews will travel with their teams on the road this year.
That I was going to ask you because I know you said at the very beginning you talked to your radio boss, your television boss today. So would the radio and TV guys on road games go to the ballpark to watch it, or will they go to a studio to watch it?
Studio.
So it'll be a studio. You wouldn't even go. For instance, I'll give you. I do some 901 FC USL soccer games on television. Whether the game is at home or whether the game is away, we go to the booth where there's a studio in the booth, and we do the away games there.
Oh, okay.
So you wouldn't do
Yeah.
that at the ballpark in Washington? You would actually go to a television studio?
Well, and most teams have a studio already.
Right.
The Cardinals have one across the street from Busch Stadium. Ours happens to be way up in Maryland because the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, of course, has one channel for the Nationals and one channel for the Orioles.
Right.
And the studio is up north of Baltimore. So it's very possible that some scenario like that may have to happen where I think it would be more likely studio because if you went to the ballpark, you'd have to import all of the audio and video equipment anyway, and studios already have all of that stuff built in. So I don't know what's going to shake out here.
So
but
even home games you'll do in the studio?
No.
Okay, you would go to the ballpark for the home games.
Yes.
Okay.
But, and then they're talking about only X number of broadcast people would be allowed in the ballpark, and that's probably only enough for the home show. So the road team would get a clean feed from the ballpark,
right? And
they would insert their own graphics. They'd have their own announcers, and do their own promos. That 3-run homer was brought to you by Dave Wolo's,
right?
Deli downtown. Right next to the Peabody, and that way you drop that stuff in, and you're able to do that on your own show. So now when I was at ESPN, and I wasn't doing one of the what we called primary games, which was a national game, going to most of the country. For the better part of 15 years, when I did baseball on ESPN from 90 to 05, actually 16 seasons, we would take what we called backbench shares, which means we took the home team's feed. We had a producer sitting on the back bench of the truck, able to control one camera in addition to what he or she was getting from the home crew. The graphics would be laid in back in Bristol, and Bob Carpenter and whoever his broadcast partner was that night would be sitting upstairs in the booth. And basically, guys, we would be taking the home team's telecast with none of their graphics and all that, and then we would create our own telecast off of that. That's probably the only way that these games can be done if only a certain number of people are allowed in the ballpark.
Bob, I mentioned a scenario.
It's going to be a bit of a throwback deal.
It will be. And Bob, I mentioned a scenario. You mentioned Ballpark Village.
I can picture Dave Woloschin in the studio with this little propeller cap on, and I can see you.
Now, I will tell you seriously. Back to the ESPN days, I used to do a kickboxing series that I came from Sydney, Australia, or Rome, or Paris.
In Rome.
And I was in Bristol, Connecticut, in a little booth, not as big as the booth I'm in right now. So I've seen stuff like that a lot.
I can picture the two of you. I can picture the two of you sitting there doing all your own sound effects. Wolo hits the pencil on the microphone, and that's the crack of the bat.
Yeah, like Ronald Reagan used to do. Come on.
That's how he made his big showbiz break.
Ronald Reagan, WHO Radio in Des Moines, Iowa, recreated baseball games. And in our booth, in the hallway right outside our booth in D.C., we have a lot of presidential pictures around our ballpark. There's a picture of Dutch Reagan sitting next to his microphone, smoking a pipe, getting ready for one of his broadcasts. Now, you said the thing you did in Bristol, I did the exact same thing, Wolo. In 1982, Bob Lee and I did the World Cup from Spain, sitting in a studio in Bristol, Connecticut, and we would do 3 or 4 games a day.
Right.
He was the play-by-play guy. I was the analyst. That's how desperate they were for analysts for soccer back then. And we did the World Cup for a couple of weeks, sitting in the studio with games being beamed over live from Spain
at
all hours.
That is great. Yeah.
Bob, how are you going to keep the people out of wanting to clamor to get in sitting in Ballpark Village watching when the Cardinals are across the street or outside of y'all's great ballpark or outside of Fenway with people wanting to storm the light brigade and bust down the door and get in the ballpark? How are they going to keep them out?
You know, it's an interesting question, and I don't know. Maybe they set up gigantic TV monitors out there, and like a playoff game when your team's on the road, have a big watch party. But, guys, in some of these cities, that may be, you can't do that in California. They say they're going to keep California closed for the next 3 months?
Right.
It's going to be subject to what your local rules are. And most, other than Kansas City and Pittsburgh and, St. Louis and a few others, Major League Baseball cities, as a rule, are huge mega cities where things like that may not even be allowed locally. So, Stats, it's a great question, and I'm sure fans will be clamoring, maybe even to hang around the ballpark. Maybe they just want to hear the crack of the bat,
right?
From Clark Street in St. Louis or Broadway out in right field. I guess if people want to walk up and down the street outside the ballpark, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. But if they're going to gather in big masses of people, I would think maybe the local authorities will have something to say to not allow that to happen.
Well, they'll have to disperse them until we are allowed to have more than a mass of 10 people. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I'm told there are people right now in Memphis trying to storm your studio just to get a glimpse.
It every day. We have it every day.
Just to get a glimpse of what you two guys look like when you're actually doing a radio show.
Just so you know, thanks to the modern technology, we are socially distancing here. And my friend Brett Norsworthy is actually at his home in Forest City, Arkansas. So
I never would have known.
If they're going to storm, they got a long way to go.
I know where Forest City is, actually. My first job out of school in January of 1976 was at KASU-FM in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I was the one-man news director, news department there. A buddy of mine that I went to high school with, Bill Clutho from St. Louis, went to ASU, Arkansas State, on a baseball scholarship. He worked in the radio station. I was a December graduate. They needed a news director, air quotes, and I got hired over the Christmas holidays. And my first job out of college, Stats, was right up the road from you up there in Jonesboro.
I never knew that story.
And Guy Cottrell was the track coach, the renowned track coach.
Hey, exactly. Hey, man, I got on the air on Monday mornings. I did those soybean and rice futures. I did all that ag reporting. I'm a city boy from St. Louis. I have no idea what I'm reading, but I'm reading at it with as much enthusiasm as I would be the box score of a Cardinal Cup game from September.
I can just see it
in
now.
Jonesboro Hurricane football.
I can just.
Hey, I got to tell you a story. The station manager, great guy. His name was Richard Carville. I got on the air every morning. I was on from 7 to 9, and then I went out and gathered news all day and did a 15-minute newscast at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, right before All Things Considered came on from National Public Radio. It was an NPR station. Every morning at 7:05, Richard, after I threw it to my first report, he would open the door to the studio. He would duck in and say, "Carpenter, slow down." And then he would slam the door shut and go to his office. I was my first job out of school. I was talking so fast because I was so nervous. And every morning he never told me to shut up, but he did tell me to slow down a lot.
I could just see this now. Bob Carpenter saying, "Look at the price of soybeans. See you later."
That's great.
Well played, Wolo.
Very well.
Last
Bob,
thing.
thanks a lot.
Who just really in about a minute? Who's going to be in your division? Do you know any of that stuff?
Yeah, we're playing all the teams from the East except, because Texas and Houston are kind of centrally located, but there's only 8 other teams out there, so they're going to the West. So the AL West and NL West will play each other. the AL Central and NL Central will play each other with one addition. It's my understanding that the Pittsburgh Pirates, for travel reasons, are going to be in the East, and the Atlanta Braves are going to be in the Central.
Wow.
Yeah, they could win the
Now,
Central.
So it's the NL Central, AL Central, and the Atlanta Braves.
So here's the thing. Now, this is different for the Astros and the Rangers, but every other team in baseball will, and in the Central, you do have the Central and Eastern time zones represented because the Tigers are in the East, the Indians are Eastern time. But like us, our games will never leave the Eastern time zone, and Pittsburgh will be the westernmost team, and Atlanta, for some reason, is going to join the Central. That's the configuration I saw about, a week to 10 days ago. And other than that, you're going to play nothing but teams in your own area.
I hate.
And here's the other thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, Wolo. This might be a preview of the long-range plan of Major League Baseball to permanently realign based on geography. There's been a lot of talk about it, and there's a writer who wrote about it, and it's a story from about 2 years ago, and I saved it. Someday when we're on the air and we have time to talk about this, I'll pull it up on my computer.
Okay, we'll do that.
Geographic alignment is something that the owners, they want to do it, and it's down the road, and this season could be a bit of a preview for that.
All right, we'll do that in about a month. By then, you might know where the heck you're going to be.
By then, I'm going to be like a -1 in golf.
Oh, I love to hear that. Thank you, Bob. We'll talk to you soon. Seriously, and stay healthy.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on. And I just want to say hello to everybody in Forest City and Jonesboro, Arkansas, right now.
Heck yeah!
Thank
you, Bob.
Later.
That is my guy.
Great.
That is
great.
Bob Carpenter. He's brought to you, by the way, by the Butcher Shop, where Sunday lunch or brunch, however you want to call it, you can still go in or curbside pickup. It's simple. You call 757-4244, 757-4244. They've also got entrees. They've got the new 9-ounce New York strips for $18.95, a 6-ounce fillet for $24.95. They are still doing the curbside pickup, either cooked or you can still do ground beef and marinated chicken breasts and even the salmon. And they do this great fresh Atlantic salmon with a dill sauce, cooked at $16.95. I mean, it is great. All the entrees come with Caesar salad, French bread, and your choice of baked potato or mashed potatoes. They got a kids menu. They got great desserts. They've got it all. And all you got to do is place the order curbside. They are on top of it. By the way, if you pre-order and you want fried chicken and prime rib, you got to do that by Saturday at 12 noon for your Sunday afternoon lunch. You can't beat the Butcher Shop. Still going strong in the Agri Center. We take a break, and when we come back, we will replay a conversation we had earlier in the day with Professor Dr. John Ganuski, who is a professor of economics at the University of Memphis. He is next.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
At Jason's Deli, you can stuff yourself full of great deli food that's healthy, fresh, and best of all, it's not expensive. Jason's Deli is all about choice. Whether you're looking for a gluten-free menu, vegetarian sandwiches, healthy kids' meals, or if you'd like to invent your sandwich via the build-your-own selections, Jason's Deli has you covered. And they only use fresh, wholesome ingredients. Choose from the club and specialty sandwiches, paninis, wraps, soups, salads, pastas, and much more. I love the cleanliness in the restaurant, the hospitality, and of course the cost. They have a huge salad bar and great soups, including Southwest chicken chili, fire-roasted tortilla, organic vegetable, tomato basil, and many, many more. And if you're planning an event, their catering department is fantastic and can handle any size party. Go check out Jason's Deli's 4 locations. On Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, that's my favorite, on Germantown Parkway in Cordova, at Poplar and Highland, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Start your day at Sunrise Memphis. Located in Midtown, enjoy delicious biscuit sandwiches and all their menu has to offer with quick and easy to-go and delivery options. Whether it's breakfast, brunch, or lunch, don't distance yourself from great food. For more information on Sunrise Memphis, visit sunrise901.com or call 901-552-3144 to place your order. Stay healthy and eat Sunrise Memphis today.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up and get back to playing the game we all love. Edwin Watts Golf Shop is now fully reopened to serve all your golfing needs. Our team has taken precautions to ensure your shopping safety when you visit our stores. Come in today and get the best deals on clubs, bags, balls, apparel, and more. And at Edwin Watts, we offer free custom club fitting, club repair, and trade-ins. Now, let's get out there and play some golf. Edwin Watts Golf Shop, home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129. Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Woloshin and Brad Norsworthy.
Another program disappearing before our very eyes. Earlier today, we had a chance to speak with Dr. John Ganuski, who's the director of the Bureau of Business and Economics Research and the Center of Manpower Studies at the University of Memphis. We wanted to know about what his thoughts were about recovery and how long with this pandemic and the economy. Dr. Ganuski, thank you for joining us. I read this quote where you said that we would have terrible unemployment in April, it would double in May, and then we would return to normalcy. Is your prediction coming true? And why will we return to normalcy after this month is up? How are you?
Doing great, Dave. How about you this morning?
Hanging in.
This afternoon.
Yeah. So
let me tell you, okay?
Yeah.
The original outlook was that we were going to have the coronavirus was going to initially go up and then come down. Okay, and to the extent that now that begins to stretch out, I think the recovery stretches out into the future. We're now looking at fall and beyond, and Lord only knows the economy's recovery is directly related to how quickly that coronavirus gets out of here.
And so your sense is when you say we will come down in June relates to the fact that you think we will stabilize even more on the medical side of it.
We're going to stabilize more, and as quickly as we can stabilize, as quickly as we can go into a restaurant and not look like we're going into a hospital emergency ward, then we're going to begin to see the economy bounce back. And that's when the recovery will really begin to show. Just opening the stores doesn't mean anything to us. Okay? Mm-hmm. Getting customers in the stores, that means a lot.
Yeah, it means a lot, Dr. Ganuski. And I talked the other day, there's so many sectors of the economy that I fear, and one particularly, big town, small town alike, the commercial real estate market, because if nothing else, we've learned with this distancing, this working from home, that maybe we don't need, three floors in said downtown tower. Maybe we just need one. Maybe we don't need the business in this strip mall. Do you fear of a bubble or a economic tsunami in the commercial real estate area?
Well, prior to the coronavirus, Dave, the commercial real estate business was going great guns. Okay, money was available for almost any project that the community could even imagine. Okay, obviously, the coronavirus has had a tremendous setback, has caused a tremendous setback to the economy. And so what we're facing is a period of a lot of uncertainty. It's all going to depend on a couple things. How quickly we bounce back. If we bounce back quickly, people are not going to be accustomed to working from home, and they're not going to want to work from home. So they're going to be back in their offices, and that's going to generate opportunities for commercial real estate. We don't know how quickly the major stores are going to open and how well they're going to do. So that's going to be an impact on commercial real estate. And finally, we're not sure how the incentive system is going to work. If we provide enough incentives for the industry, then it's going to be just fine. But if we don't, you could be right. There could be some tremendous turmoil in real estate.
When you say those incentives, that intrigues me. Well, what are you referring to here? Because here, my thing is, like downtown Memphis, let's say a business like Becky Dinstall's. She had to close the new store downtown because there's not workers and there's not tourists at the moment. If we start Zooming all the time, and we just saw Blue Cross Blue Shield says, hey, we're going to start doing telehealth a lot more. I mean, could you see where downtowns across the United States of America, or for the world for that matter, really start to become ghost towns? What are these incentives?
Well, downtowns have had a long history of decline. Okay, that's not unusual. Because of the post-Great Recession period of expansion, they had started to bounce back and probably would have been doing just fine if it had not been for the virus. The incentives are going to be necessary to support the industry, and we're seeing some of them. The employment incentive loan programs that are available for employers are going to try to keep them open. Okay, to the extent that they can keep them open, then in fact the real estate market will not suffer a Great Depression. But all of that's going to depend upon whether we have sufficient incentives to keep the economy rolling and to keep the businesses functioning.
And Dr. Ganuski, the real estate market, one of the scariest aspects of things, but there are a lot of others. We know about the waiters and servers in the hospitality industry. What do you think about a suspension right now of the payroll tax, and maybe even the suspension or the lowering in a capital gains tax? Because so often when people hear capital gains tax, they think stock market and a big exotic portfolio. No, it's selling your home that you being hit by it. Are you for tax sensitive? Do you think they would help? Tax breaks, tax eliminations, tax incentives?
Any kind of tax incentive that we can provide, I think, is going to be positive, okay? And it's going to be necessary. And that's going to be an important factor in how we move forward. So the answer is yes. If we can provide a balanced portfolio of tax incentives for small businesses, then in fact we're going to see a lot more, and not all of them, but a lot more of our small businesses survive.
Will we need a third round of surplus money, more PPP money, more self-employment money, more bonuses to those that are unemployed on top of the unemployment? Because I know Congress is talking about that again. Can there be a third round of that, and can our government sustain that? Can we keep just printing money?
Well, government has the total ability to continue to print money. So the answer to that part is there's almost an unlimited amount of money that they can print. Do we need a third round? Absolutely. We need a third round that protects state and local government. Okay? Mm-hmm. We can't have them going broke, okay, while we try to save everybody else. So the answer is yes, we need a third round of incentives. and it needs to be diverse. It needs to be helping employers, small businesses, and state and local government.
Yeah, I saw a story the other day on top of just to follow up on that, is that I believe the state of Tennessee will be out of unemployment money at this particular time in 16 weeks. I think it was 22 weeks in Arkansas and maybe 24 weeks in Mississippi. So you're right on the money there, Doc. The federal government's going to have to help out the states.
Well, it really is, and of course they've gone through 2 rounds that have helped. Okay, they've helped keep us out of the Great Depression that I was most fearful for in the beginning. The first 2 rounds helped, and the third round is going to help even more. And there may be a need for subsequent rounds that continue to help as we move through this process. Well, what I do know is what seemed like something that was going to take place over a matter of a few months is now stretching into many months. Okay? And the damage that it causes to the economy is yet unknown, but we know it's going to take a long time to recover. The recovery period is essential. What it looked like it was going to be a few months now is stretching into 6 months and beyond. And it's going to be slow. We thought originally people would bounce back and start spending again. In fact, they're holding back. They're saving money. They're not investing. They're not investing in new things. And as a result of all of that, the bounce back is going to take quite a bit of time.
Did you think there was anything that could overload the system like has occurred?
Absolutely not. Okay, and I don't think anyone would have ever anticipated this country or any other country just shutting down its economy. That's unheard of, totally unanticipated, and that's why it's so difficult to say with some degree of assurance what exactly is going to happen. This is a new event. It's never happened before. We don't know how long it's going to take the economy to bounce back.
You did say, though, that you were fearful initially that we would be in a deep recession, and you sort of said, well,
that's correct.
You don't think that's going to happen now?
No, you got me wrong, Dave. Initially, I thought it was going to be a Great Depression. Okay?
Yes.
Now I think it's going to be a recession that takes a long time to get over it. Okay, most recessions are solved in a quarter or two. Well, it takes 2 quarters to actually make a recession, 2 down quarters. We're going to have to worry about 3, 4, and more. Okay, so the recession is going to last quite a while, and it's going to be difficult to overcome. But it's not going to be the Great Depression. Okay, where we have prolonged food lines and displacement that just takes many years to overcome.
Have we learned some things from this? For instance, let's say the food chains, food costs have gone up. They say they'll be up for a while and then return to normalcy, maybe quicker than what you're saying. Yeah. Our economy as a whole will.
That's right. Well, I'll give you an example. Okay, we know how to solve a shortage. Okay. Well, when you had a shortage of toilet paper, one of 2 things happened. They had to limit consumption, okay, which they did, okay, and in addition, they increased prices. Well, meat prices are the most recent example of that. They reduced consumption and they increased prices, and that's how you solve a shortage, okay? So we're going to see those price increases as long as we have shortages. As soon as we get past the shortage problem, and the food industry is one that's really incredibly productive, the supply chain can bounce back quickly, and that's why they're anticipating reductions in prices pretty soon.
Dr. Gnuski, on the help with the states, I'm with you. I want to help on anything virus related. Now, are you talking about a bailout for states that largely overpromised in maybe state employment retirement benefits.
That's a totally different issue, okay? Totally different issue. I think we can see the difference between overspending and the impact of the coronavirus. To the extent that it shut down revenues, the coronavirus, you can look at state revenues that were down $700 million in April. We got to find a solution for that. It can't continue, okay? And that's strictly related to the coronavirus. Has nothing to do with retirements or anything else, okay?
What about you're talking about hard-hit industries. What about the travel industry, air in particular? And I bring that up because in Memphis, we are so reliant on the hospitality industry, and that is where the majority of the unemployment is coming from right now.
You hit it right on the head, okay? Those are two industries that are going to be hard hit, and it's going to take quite a while for them to all bounce back, okay? The transportation industry, Lord only knows when anybody's going to feel comfortable in getting on a plane, okay? And why I say that is because we still don't know how contagious this virus is, and we don't know how susceptible we are to getting it if we get on an airplane with someone that has it, okay? Until they complete those studies, we're not going to feel comfortable with doing that. Now, going to a restaurant or a bar and having a drink or getting a sandwich, that's a little bit different. People can do some social distancing. They can do some opening with, limiting the number of people who actually go into a restaurant or a bar. That can happen, okay? And that's something that can be done. The airline industry and transportation in general is probably a bigger issue.
And I've got the feeling that's going to be the 3 or 4 quarters or longer that you're talking about. We can talk all day, Dr. G. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay. That is Dr. John Ganowski from the University of Memphis.
The word is out about R&R on Sports, where you've heard interviews from
Ken Griffith Jr., Dr. J, Hank Aaron, and many, many more.
Right here, R&R on Sports, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m., Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Don't miss it.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
I'm Dr. George Flynn with an update on the skin clinics and COVID-19. We continue to be open for elective medical procedures such as Botox, Scarlet, and Agnes. And we thank you for abiding by our new safety protocols and for your patience with longer than average times for appointments. We're still having reduced appointment times for the safety of our clients and staff. At this time, after consulting with outside medical experts also and following the community guidelines, we believe it best to wait to offer aesthetic services such as brow shaping, waxing, and facials. We look forward to offering these services as soon as possible. The Skin Clinics is currently accepting names for a waiting list that we will use to fill appointment times when we can begin offering these services and these procedures. Call us at 345-7546. That's 345-SKIN to book your medical procedure or to get on the waiting list for aesthetic treatments. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Welcome back to Sports Time on Sports 56 with Wolo and Stats. This hour of Sports Time is brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Here once again are Dave Wolosian and Brad Norsworthy.
Final portion of our Thursday. It's brought to you by Homer Skelton Hyundai, and Genesis of Olive Branch. This is where that technology is so good. Those luxury cars, so plush, so high performance, but you get the same thing from the Hyundais. You really do. So durable, these cars, so filled with technology. You get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. And this is the standard, I think, for all of the car business. They were the first ones to come up with. A lot of people are doing this now. It's the way you do it in the pandemic. We're talking 0% financing for 84 months. That's right. No interest whatsoever for 7 years on a Genesis or on a Hyundai. And you got 120 days to make your first payment on select models. Always making it easy. Just go see Chris True. It's worth the short ride right down Lamar. It's Highway 78 when you get to State Line Road. The very first exit's Craft Road. Turn left. You're there in 10 or 15 minutes, and you will see the way car business should be done. I promise. Go check it out. That's Homer Skelton Hyundai and Genesis of Olive Branch. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, for Crunch Time.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time. You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that?
Take questions again for the student athletes at this time, please.
What's happening, big dog? How you doing?
Is this thing working?
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Woo! Woo!
Time for Taco Bell Crunch Time. Taco Bell, home of the crispy tortilla chips, topped with a double portion of either seasoned beef or shredded chicken, plus refried beans, nacho cheese sauce, reduced fat sour cream, guacamole, and a 3-cheese blend. Nachos Bel Grande, heaping portion of chips, topped with ground beef, tomatoes, beans, nacho cheese sauce, and a dollop of sour cream. Taco Bell, home to great food you get on your way home real fast, and they bring you crunch time every day. Learned today, Dave, that the super aggressive touch by the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis, has already got Scott Strickland and the Gators interested in attracting one of those NFL teams. If you got a couple of NFL teams to come there and play with the campus for the Biodome for the NBA in Orlando, maybe the Mets or the Yankees having to play in spring training homes, look what that would immediately do for the Florida budget and economy. I don't know why we're not more aggressive trying to do the same thing here. You see the Greenbrier in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia. They're going to host about 4 or 5 NFL preseason teams there for their training camp. We should be doing that here.
Not a bad idea. By the way, Scott Strickland, he went beyond just football stadiums. He was talking about their great venues for baseball and for basketball, too. So he'd like them all
Scott's that smart
to come in. I'd like to go to the Greenbrier, be honest with you. I want to see that underground
me too. It's great.
Tunnel and play golf there. It's, the former Marshall coach, Pruitt, he's a big-time member of the Greenbrier. I learned today, and I'm going to get one of these, the Tigers have started to receive their American Athletic Conference championship football rings.
It
is, and it's gorgeous. Go on Twitter. You can see what they look like. They lost those 2 previous championship games to Central Florida, but thank you, Cincinnati. What games those were. Had to beat them twice. Got them 29-24. Now everybody's going to get a ring. How about it?
We didn't get Sugar Bowl rings. Brother Freeze gave some of the extra rings to his golfing buddies, though. But not to the radio team. What a sweetheart guy.
Yeah.
Could have done without him. Could have done without bow tie guy himself, Gordon G. at West Virginia. Remember him at Ohio State when he was scared that Jim Tressel might fire him? Now he says that to have football, that he'll suit up and play. Everybody schedule West Virginia because the guy in a bow tie ain't kicking anybody's tail.
I think we also learned today that baseball, I think it's going to happen. After talking to Bob, I know they're going to have to get through the financial mess, but there's too much to lose for both sides. If they've got the virus testing figured out, if they've got the players to agree to play to 84 games and no DH, and you heard Bob Carpenter say the Cubs and the Cardinals be in the same division with the American League Central, everybody in the American League Central, the National League Central, all together with the Atlanta Braves. That's intriguing to me. And you would just play those games till you get to playoffs, and you're going to have 14 in the playoffs. So that's 2 extra teams.
Well, won't baseball picks be great when we do them with all those playoffs?
I know it. I know it.
Boy, it'd be so sad when Dave comes in last on those picks, won't it?
It truly will, because I'm done throwing in the towel for him. I'm done giving him titles.
No more. We're not giving you anything
We were
else.
trying to be nice.
No more
joining
6-foot
the
putts.
afternoon with us.
What are you going to do?
We were trying to welcome you
What
in.
are you going to do when my dominance continues and you run out of this excuse? I just worry for you. I really do.
Excuses. No excuses. Keeping a close eye tonight on possibly noodles at the Cup at Seminole. No, come on. We can't do that. But I'm looking forward to that event Sunday night. And Rory McIlroy with the news that he's going to play the first 3 events after the restart. He's going to play Fort Worth, Hilton Head, and the Travelers.
Yeah.
That's good news. And it looks like people are going to take Florida up on their very aggressive stand. I'm for that. And David Tepper, the owner of the Panthers, and he's a different cat too, no pun intended, Panthers. He's saying there will be fans at the Panthers games this year. He's the guy that's getting ready to build the next sexy, exotic, retractable roof dome because he wants to host a Super Bowl in Charlotte. He wants the Final Four back in Charlotte.
We want to thank Dr. John Gonuski from the University of Memphis, Elliot Perry, Tim Doolin, and our good buddy Bob Carpenter. He was certainly fun to listen to today. It's going to be fun tomorrow, too. Bruce Marshall, as always, will kick us off and go to his website, go to thegoldsheet.com. You can see what history he's talking about. We'll talk a little bit about whatever story he's got up there. Maybe we can talk about that UFC fight because they are going to have a fight tomorrow, and there's odds on that thing in Las Vegas. Oh, I can't wait to talk more baseball with Thomas Harding from MLB.com, formerly from the Commercial Appeal. I always love chatting with the old Prince of Preps, John Virgos. Will chat with us about restaurants and economies opening up. And then Andy Schiffman on that phone call a week ago, our agent on the NBA. Oh, and high hard ones. It'll be fun tomorrow. We'll see you then. Have a great night, everybody.
Looking for a great place to deposit your money? Try First Bank. Competitive CD rates, a